Happy Saturday night. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Live Saturday Overnight Edition. I'm William, your host, and I will be doing my usual best to shepherd you in from what was Saturday, February 18th, well into the first non-NFL Sunday in quite some time. Super Bowl was last week, and that's it until September. Ugh. So tonight we have a special guest. He's in the green room. He's actually a local guest here in Las Vegas, local independent filmmaker. We'll bring him up soon, but first I want to go ahead and say hi to my chat real quick before we get started, and then after that I will turn it over to Stella and she'll bring up your questions and everything. So how you doing, Vince? How you doing, Stella? Anthony, what's going on, dude? Please put a Q. Yes, please put a Q because we're going to be rolling tonight as quickly as possible, especially with at least one guest on here for the night. Yes, I did. I saw that Bruce Willis's condition has worsened. It started out as an invasion. Now it's full funnel. Yeah, he's in full dementia now, which is sad. It's sad to hear. Also, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's in hospice today, so it's not a good day for But hey, no matter when Jimmy Carter goes, that's a full life. That guy has gotten every ounce of positivity out of his 98 years on this earth. There will be nothing tragic when Jimmy Carter passes away. Yes, we will miss him, but wow, you look at what that guy did. Oh, and by the way, he was president too. He did a whole lot of things after his presidency that just made the world better. And if I can get 98 years plus on this planet, and live his life, that's a win. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring in Thade real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and oh wow, it's not the truck driver Thade, darn. Oh well, no, okay, that wasn't a request for the truck driver. That was just a notification that truck driver Thade wasn't here. But okay, all right, and then we have a special local guest. What I've been trying to do lately, and I put out the notification everywhere I can, is whether you're local or not, if you have small films, small shorts, or if you're an independent director of any kind, by indie, I mean not signed to a big company, you're making your projects small budgeted stuff, you still have all the copies kind of stuff, I want to hear from you. I want to hear about your movies. I want to hear about, the inspirations, what the process is. And everybody's got a different process. So this is what we're going to start doing. And one of the reasons you see up in the upper left-hand corner, depending on how you're facing the screen, the Sci-Fi Center presents Tromania. One of the main reasons why I have that up there is one of the things we're going to be doing, as along with premiering two of Troma's newest movies and showing two of Troma's classic with Lloyd Kaufman there to do audio commentary, is we're going to have a contest for shorts. 15, 20 minute, 10, 15, 20 minute shorts. Science fiction and horror ones, preferably. And we're going to take all your guys' entries, and between us and the people at Troma, we're going to pick some winners, and Lloyd Kaufman will introduce those movies, and we will screen those at Tromania. So what's one of the things we want to do when it comes to independent filmmakers. And I grew up on independent, watching low budget stuff. I know people knock it. I know people like to take shots at it. But for every great, Ridley Scott film, there was 20 or 30 other ones that were recorded of that budget that I had a lot of fun with. All right, and a lot of those guys that are working on independent films are some of the bigger names you know about now. So something's got to start somewhere. So let me go ahead and bring in and make sure I'm gonna read this again because I asked him and he told me I refuse to butcher his name. So I'm going to get this right. So, all right. Sounding it out in my head. And here we go. Here it is. Shahib Zagari. How'd I do?
You got it pretty close there. Pretty close. Shahab. But
damn it.
It's okay. That's
Sorry.
Okay. It was super close.
I've done far worse. There are people in our chat that have names I can't pronounce, and I've been butchering them for about 8 or 9 months, and nobody says anything. And but when you have an ethnic, when you have a name, when you have a Middle Eastern name, or Middle Eastern name or Mediterranean name, I like to
People
try
freeze.
my best
Yeah.
to pronounce that name.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
All right, so tell me about yourself. Tell me where how old are you? Where you're from? What are you doing?
So I'm 44, live in Vegas, was born in LA.
Woohoo.
Always wanted to be a director, but I never really had the confidence. 10 years ago this year, I directed my first film, which was The Crystal Crypt. It was a Philip K. Dick story that was in public domain.
Oh,
So we scooped it up, adapted the short story into a script. And it was kind of interesting because, when people love something like Stephen King or Philip K. Dick, I mean, they get really not judgmental, but they don't want you to mess with their,
defensive,
favorite
defensive.
books, right? Their
Yeah.
favorite author. They want you to get it right, kind of thing. So it was kind of nerve-wracking. Um, and so we did a Kickstarter, raised about 15,000, but our goal was 25, so nobody got charged. We didn't get any of that money. And at that point I was like, you know what? I think we should still do it. Let's just do it anyway. So we took out some credit cards, I liquidated a retirement account, we booked the sound stages, and we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this project. And 3 years after we shot it in 2016, we were an official selection of San Diego Comic Con. And that was just wild.
Did that
So
make
that
it worth all that worth it?
it really did. I mean, it took me a long time to finally pay off the film, but I just look at it like that was my film school. Paid the money, learned, did my dues. We won the awards, went to Comic Con, and I feel like because it was mixed medium, right? So when you watch it, and I'm actually going to come down, William, and I'm going to, since we're in the same city, I'm going to give you one of the DVDs. You'll see it was combination live action, CG, and 2D hand drawn animation, and I
Wow.
feel like that was definitely up Comic Con's alley. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I've made films since, and we haven't gotten in, but they love that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up the
So what movie was that? I'm sorry.
So it was my directorial debut. It was called The Crystal Crypt.
The Crystal
Uh,
Crypt. Hmm.
yeah, let me
yeah.
bring up the trailer real quick. I got the trailer going on, so let's bring it in. I got to do streamer. Here we go. So we're gonna watch the trailer here, and since
Okay.
I have you here, I don't have to worry about copyright strikes or anything. So, woohoo! All right, so there we go, and we're gonna go ahead and play that trailer.
That's the problem with war, little lady. No one ever knows when it's gonna be over.
Wait, why?
Because we don't know it.
I'll stop you.
He doesn't know anything!
No, I don't know anything!
Were you involved in the destruction of March?
Mr. Thatcher, I would be glad to spin you a little story. And I guarantee you it will be interesting enough to keep you awake.
No, I don't know anything!
I've never been so scared in my life.
The Crystal Crypt.
And there it is.
I just put a link to your website, ThinkSpeak. So anybody who wants to
Perfect.
watch that, that is there. You can actually go ahead and you can go ahead and take a look at not just that film. You have several films on there. Go ahead and tell me a little bit about some of the other films you got there.
Yeah, so after The Crystal Crypt, we have done. So it's weird. Everything I do has a science fiction lens on it, but each one is a different thing. So Crystal Crypt was my, space odyssey. The Susanna's Lesson was my Stephen King fan film, so it was kind of like, Roland of Gilead and his student. So that was kind of like the Western kind of thing, but in a different planet, or a different universe rather. Then we did My Name Is Art, which is more of like a Twilight Zone, uh, kind of Blade Runner. Our androids, humans, if they have memories, that kind of thing. And then pandemic happened, and so we were on lockdown. Uh, Vaccines weren't invented yet, and so we were like, well, we got to do something. We want to be creative, so we literally did a family project where, because it was COVID, we got Sean Astin to do a cameo. I mean, he was home. It was March 2020 when he filmed it, so everyone was at their house, kind of thing. My
I
daughter was
remember
the main
March 2020
character.
was like the worst month ever, man.
It was the worst. It was the worst. So that year was kind of weird, but yeah, so that one was more like a drama, coming of age tale, but still had the sci-fi twist to it. And then the most recent one we did, it was shot at UNLV, and the whole thing was, can the iPhone cinematic mode compare to the $100,000 RE camera cinema, right? And a few people have been like, so did it? Like, what do you think? I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
what's the verdict?
because I don't think I'm allowed to say. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone else needs to watch it and say yes or no. I love it. There's a few things I have qualms with. I didn't really have the control over the lighting that I would like. But otherwise, I mean, it looks pretty good, in my opinion.
What are you working on right now?
So, and I don't want to jinx it, but we have applied to a few grants, and if we get this, then we're going to be able to um, adapt a book by a man named David Budbill, Bones on Black Spruce Mountain, and it's kind of like a Stand By Me premise,
Okay,
where these two
did you
kids are
freeze
like,
or did I
"Hey,
freeze?
oh, I don't see myself frozen. Can you hear me?
I can
Can
hear
you hear me
you.
now?"
Yeah, I froze. I was that me or you that froze?
That was you, William.
Okay. Oh, that's like a scheduled BS now. Cox, if you're watching Cox Internet, you get paid a lot of money.
They get paid a lot of money, and they're the only ones in town, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's not like
Hate
I
it.
can go anywhere else. And every Saturday night I'm on a stream. I'm either pixelated, which I don't think I'm pixelated tonight. I am pixelated tonight. Or it just freezes. And it's very annoying. So let's
You seem to be back now, though.
Yeah, I'm back now, but I'm grainy, and I don't like being grainy. So hold on. I'm gonna ungrain myself. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
So, Shahab,
Yeah.
have you heard the idea that they're talking about a Dark Tower series for Amazon on
All right.
Amazon Prime?
Am I still grainy?
No, you look better.
You look better, man.
Or not?
You're still a little choppy, though. Uh-oh, he might have frozen again. So, to answer your question, though, I have heard of it. I hope they do a good job. I know everyone hated the movie. I just liked it because I got to see characters in live action,
Right. The best part of that movie was McConaughey's Darkman.
I
The
thought
Man
he
in
did a
Black.
great job. Yeah, I thought he did a great job. And I love the world building. I mean, you can't fit all of that into a movie. You just can't,
Yeah, well, me and William have always had the opinion that for the longer epics like that, you should do it TV series wise, just to do it justice.
Yeah. I mean,
Gives you
did
a lot
you
of-
watch Rings of Power? I loved Rings of Power.
I did not.
Oh, you
I
hated
started.
it?
No, I didn't hate it. I started to watch it. It's just that first couple of episodes was boring, and I had a whole lot of other things that I was having to review and everything. So I have not yet, but since it's done with, I'm going to go back and watch it.
Yeah, once you finish the arc, I mean, it's nice, you know. But again, to your point, they had the time to flesh it out, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Are you cursing, Cox?
Every Saturday night.
And I will say with that Dark Tower movie, even though it was a race swap, Idris Elba did play a good Roland.
I thought he really did.
A horrible movie,
in my opinion. Now the movie itself is horrible, but like the way the actors played the characters really worked for me.
There we go. I'm back to not being Grady now. Okay, and plus, and you know this, Shane, because you are here, or Shahab, you are here. You know where I'm at in town. For some reason, they have just given up on the middle of here, and they said, you know what? You guys are going to live like the dinosaurs. We're going to charge you. We're going to charge you top dollar
for
top
shitty
dollar. But because we don't want to spend the money to update stuff down here to 20th century, maybe every now and then, high density, you're just going to freeze or you're just going to pop off.
Which blows my mind because that shopping center you're in has so many businesses and they all need internet.
Well, the entire world needs internet. Homeless people have internet. There's a guy out here who's digging in the dumpster, got better internet than I do right now. He's not paying for it. I'm paying for it. He's getting it subsidized. I'm paying, and you see what I get. I get Flintstone net. That's what I get. And I can't stand it because I'll do a stream and I'll be happy to tell about the stream. It'll be good content, good interconnectivity with the chat, good guests, good everything, good flow. I'll go home and watch it. And here I am doing max heavy.
Oh no.
That's why, because I usually don't watch my streams while I'm doing them, even though I should. I have it up on the screen. But I'm looking at it now and it's like, it's good. But then, I have to go like, hey, let's stop, guys. Let me make sure that when I get home tonight to rewatch this stream, I don't want to put my fist through the internet because I look like, it's bad. But like I said, you live here, you understand. I don't know
You're
what
like
part
an
of town
8-bit
you
character.
live in. Yeah, but once you get into this part of town, it's like here's a life raft. Hopefully you don't drown, but we're going to charge you for the same people that are in the yacht. Yeah. Anyway, so your filmmaking process. The main thing I want to drive home when it comes to putting indie filmmakers on and giving them any type of screen is that there's a whole bunch of people who always talk about doing stuff. And I always said the hardest step to any journey, no matter whether it's filmmaking, opening up a business, asking for a raise, anything is the first step. And even, here you are, you've taken several. So if you guys are out there and you're making these movies and you're thinking about making these movies, at some point you got to make the movies. And that's why when people say, well, that's a low budget. But what was we supposed to do? Wait till he got $1 million to do it? Right. If every filmmaker waited till they had that kind of budget to make their movies, no movies would get made. Nobody would get their start. So,
and like you were saying earlier, all of the greats started doing shorts, including Disney, everyone, Ridley Scott, everyone started doing shorts.
And like I said, we just watched Pooh Blood and Honey, which I thought was an instant classic. I had a lot of fun with it. There are things about it that, if you spend $100,000 on a movie that you may miss. Boo-hoo. But I saw it. I sat in the theater with people who had a ball. I had fun with it. And that's the kind of stuff I grew up on Trauma. I mean, we're about to do one of the reasons why I do so much with Trauma is because that's the kind of movies that I watched as a kid. And that's the kind of spirit that I like behind movie making.
Which, by the way, can we submit to that yet? Or
yes.
Yes. Okay, so that's live.
Yeah, that's live.
I'm definitely going to submit our horror one to that.
Yeah. What's going to happen? Like I said, Lloyd will be one of the judges. One of his assistants will be one of the judges, and I'll be one of the judges. And like I said, as part of our presentation on both April 1st and March 31st, which is the night before, we're going to be submitting and showing. Like you're literally going to have Lloyd Kaufman, who I consider to be a legend. Especially a legend in indie movie. Promoting.
Dude, Nukem High School is one of my favorite movies.
Yep, we're going to have him up here doing audio commentary for that one. on Saturday night, and then the night before it's gonna be Toxic. I have to do Toxic Avenger.
You gotta do Toxic Avenger. Yeah.
So he'll be out there. But yeah, he's constantly raising money for films. He has Troma now doing that. So even though Troma is a big name, it's really a conglomerate of a lot of independent filmmakers that are just trying to get their stuff out there. So that's the goal for that. And like I said, every week I get on here, I'm going to try to put somebody. I mean, local is fine. I mean, you're local, but we're one of our networks. You're go ahead and tell them who you are.
Hey, I'm Shahab Zagari, and I'm a filmmaker based in Las Vegas. I've done a lot of shorts, some of them long and expensive, and some of them quite short and cheap. And it's just a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, and I went ahead and put your link back in there, ThinkSpeak.org films, and you can watch all of his films there, or most of it. Everything they can watch, right? Everything's watchable?
Everything's watchable, yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right, man. Well, good luck with everything.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
no problem. And keep an eye out for tonight was an unofficial announcement of the contest, but I'm gonna make that official announcement tomorrow.
Well, I'm glad I was here to hear it because I definitely want to submit. That's awesome.
Thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have links everywhere, and like I said, I look forward to your submission.
Cool.
All
Thanks, guys.
Shahab, thanks for being a guest. All right, man. Okay, so let me go ahead and run through some of these questions I missed while I was go ahead, Stella. Go ahead and take us back to whoever was asking questions while I was because I'm single-minded. I can't do two things at once and keep the internet running, which is pathetic. All right, Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden are now confirmed to be writing the script for the live-action Hellboy reboot, with Brian Taylor set to direct. And I'm just rolling my eyes. I'd rather have Hellboy 3. This is what I've been saying for a full 1 year, and nothing articulates how I feel about reboots more than this bullshit. All right, most reboots fail. Period. One of the main reasons that Hellboy failed is one of the main reasons that most reboots fail. This one's more along the lines of what DC was trying to do than anything else. Because not only are you restarting things and wasting people's time, but you're doing it, while the Hellboys that you had are still able to play Hellboy. Even though I know Ron Perlman says, "Oh, I'm 72, I can't play it." All right, then you need to wait 5, 6, 7, 8 more years before you did it. Then, because while he is still breathing, fans are not going to really accept another Hellboy. That's one of the new Hellboy wasn't that good anyway, but it didn't have a chance. The people who liked Hellboy and Hellboy and Golden Armor were not going to give that movie a shot while there's still a capable Hellboy able to play. All right. And one of the reasons why they didn't make that Hellboy, because Guillermo del Toro wanted, he said it was going to be a $200 million film. I doubt there was any hard negotiation after that point, but then now here we are with what's going to be our third Hellboy in 20 years. That's too much. So yeah, it really doesn't matter. I think Mike Mignola being on it will help maybe, but once again, it's just you can't continue to exhaust people's time with your brand. You only have so many shots. So, all right, next one. Hi, Dad, dude, Vince. What's going on? Anthony, what's going on? All right. Hopefully, you guys put Q's in front of your name so that we can go to the different ones. Hi, protests. Oh, my Los Angeles Kings are pissing me off. How about that? You assholes had a fun.
Hey, William, hold on. I got to say something to somebody in the chat. Excuse me, Monkey Jeebus. Why are we blanking out Larry and Fort's conversation on YouTube? You're hiding a bunch of people's. You're deleting a bunch of people's messages. Why are you doing that, Monkey Jeebus?
I'm not. Oh, I'm looking at the. I can still see the mob. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, he just timed out Larry and Forth. Why are you doing that, Monkey Jeebus?
There's a fight going on in the chat that I don't know about.
No, there was no fight. They were discussing some Stephen King novels and stuff. And
Jeebus, are you doing something by accident? Because I know we had. All right. Well, I can see everything here, so we're gonna.
Well, like I said, it's all gone on the and he's timed out Larry in fourth.
Even our chat is gone. Because usually I
What do
can
you
see
mean?
everything.
No, why did you let? My bad. What is that supposed to mean?
Are you hitting the wrong? Are you hitting the wrong function and doing something? Because we had somebody do that. All right. Well, I can see everything here. So, Stella, can you still see everything? Just go ahead and bring up the next ones. Guys, keep an eye on your keys. All right. So, all right. Question: Have you heard about the new movement? We run with gun. Took your advice on positivity and happening. Love you, William. No, I haven't. This is going to be the first time. First time I've heard of it. Good. Like I said, any type of positivity. Listen, James Gunn shouldn't be the ire or be the target of any of this stuff. He's not. He didn't hire himself. Most people who have an issue with James Gunn have an issue with the executives that made the decision to hire James Gunn. I have expressed that I thought that it was a mistake to do this now until we saw, and I didn't just say this, right after the Flash trailer. I have been saying this for quite a while. Is if we have these movies out here, that we should run this and see if there's any revenue to be made here. Now it looks like we have two movies with Aquaman 2 and this movie that can make a considerable amount of money. So I don't think the Cavill situation should have been a James Gunn decision. I thought there should have been a line. If you were going to bring in anybody else, no matter who it was, James Gunn or anybody else, there should have been a line where they start and the previous people, which would have been Abdi and DeLuca, their sole purpose. Once his pitch, and once Gunn gave Zazoff his pitch, Zazoff should have said, "Okay, this is where you start. This is where you go, and this is where you guys work together to consolidate this." I didn't see a problem. 2.5 years from now, I didn't see a problem with having something done to wrap up where we were on. And anybody says, "Well, it wasn't working. Why do that?" You're full of shit, because now you see that there's a movie that could possibly make $1 billion, and then another one following it, Aquaman, that could possibly do what Aquaman 1 did. So the whole "it wasn't working" is circling the toilet, and it should be going down the drain. But now what you're going to have is you're going to have people look at the Flash. They're going to look at Aquaman, and they're going to get on that roller coaster again, only to be told that they're getting on a different roller coaster. That's not James Gunn's fault. Zaslav, in my opinion, should have organized this to the point where all these movies that we have, in some way, shape, or form, matter. Find some way to consolidate and wrap things up. Overlap, and I'm not just saying cut and start. I'm thinking overlap, because there's no reason why you can't use what was pre-existing to ramp up what he's doing. But that was a management decision. That wasn't a James Gunn decision. I mean, you can be excited about James Gunn slating what he's doing and not be happy with the managerial decisions that came before. Because, like I said, we've had 7, 8, 9 years of bad management. At some point, you have to let go of that. But these last management decisions, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Because, like I said, I continue to say we're going to get T-shirts. Math is undefeated. If these movies do well, the stockholders and the shareholders are going to be like, "That's money that we have proven we can make with this proven brand." You got this other thing here, and that's a guess. We're saying that James Gunn's Superman may do well. I don't know if it's going to do well out of the gate. I think over time it will make its money. But if you're a stockholder and you got these, if you've seen the effect of the familiar, do you go with the unknown? Because you're spending money on something that may be successful while you got something that is successful right now. And like I said, throw away the past, throw away it wasn't working, and so was divisive. All right, we don't do time travel here. All right, past money doesn't do me any good. Past money doesn't do a stockholder any good. So they got an interesting decision. But yeah, positivity towards Gunn. Keep it going. James Gunn is an excellent storyteller. Don't let bad management decisions take away from that. All right, next one. How you doing? Enosh is, I don't know where he's at, but he's probably out around watching. How you doing, Chappie? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. All right. Did we figure out our situation? How you doing, Larry?
Yeah, it got fixed.
Okay, cool. Was it an accident or was it? It sounds like it was an accident.
It seems like it was an accident.
That happened once before while I was on the stream with Enosh, and somebody was trying to respond to people and tag them, and they ended up timing out a bunch of people. And when I tried to fix it, I ended up screwing up it was horrible. How you doing, Michelle? I need to know, am I pronouncing your name right? If not, please give me a phonetic spelling, because I really want to start pronouncing people's names right. Damn it.
Hey, William.
Yeah.
William, I was there that night. You unmodded a couple of people.
Yeah,
I remember that night.
Yeah, and then there was bots, so it was like a cluster mess. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to solve the bots. Really complicated thing.
That was one of our first shows together.
Yeah, dude. Oh my goodness, I haven't done talk of limitation today. All right. You know what? Fuck WWE sometimes, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm a naive fool, Armando, because I'm watching the match between Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. The match was great, in my opinion. It was one of the better matches that they put on in a long time. I know I probably shouldn't have fell for the trap in the lead up and everything else, but something inside of me was like, maybe they're going to set up a better storyline between Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, because Cody's promo, by the way, every time Cody cuts a promo, he gets better and better every time. He was great to begin with. His promos are great. He cut a promo with Sami Zayn, the one where he says, I don't want to see you on Monday Night Raw. I want to see you at WrestleMania. And that gave me a little bit of the chills. I'm like, maybe they're going to do this. But no, they didn't. It ended the same way it's been ending for, 1,000 days. And I'm just, now it's so predictable. I mean, they're going Cody's going to win WrestleMania. I would be surprised if something else happens. But it's just like, that was a great match. And your booking is supposed to be the pillars of your matchmaking. Your matchmaking, vice versa. They're supposed to exist on the strengths of each other. With WWE, and this match was and I watched it here, this match was a perfect scenario of the booking undercutting the match. So that's my opinion. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that watch WWE that disagree completely, but I was there, and for a couple seconds, I was like, are they going to do this? And then it went back to the same old hat. And I think this storyline, I loved this storyline when it first started. And when Sami Zayn came along, he got interesting. It's gone on too long. I think it's hurt Roman Reigns. But you know what? Like I said, that's just wrestling fans' opinion. But yeah, next one. The Elimination Chamber. Ugh. Yeah, smash the like button on both my channel and Enosh's channel. I agree. It was a fun seeing it in action, and one of the few fans who enjoyed it. Are we talking about wrestling, or are we talking about Pooh? Okay, which one? All right. Okay.
I think they're talking about the Dark Tower movie.
Oh, okay. Dark Tower is banned in the Sci-Fi Center's live.
Oh, it's only banned because you hated the way the story ended in the books.
Stupid ass ending to a decades long trek, and you give me that's almost as bad as a screw job ending in wrestling. Except it's a much longer match, 20 some odd, 30 some odd year match, and you get that lousy ending. So Dark Tower is bad. Question, or at William, I wonder if you could get James Gunn to do an interview with you because of your Troma connections. Not for lack of trying. I had put the feelers out there through those connections, but this was before he became head of DC. So my guess is it's never going to happen. You don't realize how much of a YouTube nobody you are until you're asking for an interview from a guy who's heading up DC Studios. I may have had a slim chance prior to that. I have no chance now, so I wouldn't hold my breath. I put the feelers out there through the connections that we both know. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Like I said, not at this level of my YouTube-ness, and I just don't think it's going to happen. But hey, you never know. You never know. I can send out a link. You never know. You never know who might pop in, but probably got more of a chance of getting struck by lightning at this point. Next one. In that defense, don't be asking how Fade is. We don't care how Fade is. Obviously, he's alive. No, I'm just kidding. Cool. Congratulations. Oh, okay. JR Star requested. Gunn retweeted an interview with Zachary Levi talking about Shazam's future depending on the box office. That makes me think that more than added stuff to the plan, he's not telling us yet. What we've been saying, I said this on the Point Echelon the other night, math doesn't lose. If I don't think I don't know how much Shazam needs to make in order to justify that. I don't know. I'm not real sure on its budget, and the IP of Shazam is still hinders it. As far as notoriety, name, brand. But the last one made about 400 something million. Depending on how much they spent on this one, I'm assuming they want at least a significant increase from the previous one. So I'm thinking 500 could get it. Can you pull up the budget for Shazam, the original Shazam? Or no,
Yeah.
for the new Shazam update?
Yeah, hold on.
But it lends over to what I was saying about the about Flash and about Aquaman. He's been ambiguous enough to leave himself room to work with. So say if these movies take off, yeah, he's introduced these things to us, but the box office may change just how he goes about them. So one can only hope that, he and that's probably one of the reasons why he only gave us a partial slate too. He really, probably is going to wait until he sees how Shazam does, because I don't think he's been smart. You don't want to paint yourself into a corner that you have to step over the paint to get out of, right? So if he has a loose slate and loose ideas sitting on his table and he's waiting for the box office returns to go to see, hey, what has staying power, what has sticking power? Because remember, once again, it's going to be really hard to justify going forward with maybes if Shazam, Aquaman, and the Flash pull in definites, because the investment has been made in those characters. All right, even if you like what James Gunn is doing, if you're an investor, if you're a stockholder, you have to know that any new Superman or Batman, no matter how great it is going to go through those growing pains. All right, no matter how great the movie is, people have the death grip on the Superman. That means the most to them. And you have to work as a producer or creator to loosen that death grip. So while that's happening, you're not making buku dollars. You're not making $1 billion. You're putting out good movies, yeah, but you have to let your investors know, hey, this is going to take a while. But if these movies with these familiars that we currently have start making money in a universe that's very, familiar to Cavill and all this, what's the math going to say? Do I see?
Okay,
Cavill?
so the budget was 125 million for Shazam 2.
Okay, so that's. I don't think they're spending a lot of advertising budget on that because we're promoting that movie. We haven't gotten anything yet, and that movie is coming out less than a month. So we may, who knows how much they're spending on the promo. I know we have a screening on March 15th. Headed into Shazam: Fear the Gods, but last time they put out a lot of stuff. We put out buttons, and in fact, I had a lot of the stuff. Like, here you go. So when they're spending a lot on the advertising budget when you get stuff like this. This is from the original movie. You can kind of see the lenticular holograms. It's him changing from Billy Batson to Shazam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have things like this that they went all out for Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, and we had inflatable hammers. We haven't gotten that stuff yet for Shazam, so I don't know if they're banking on that. But at 125 million, let's say they spend 25 million in ad on it, so 150 million. It really, I'm assuming 400 or 500 million would probably justify another one, unless they are expecting Superman or Batman, the modern Batman money, because Batman IP alone gets you 500 million. Now, it may not get you a billion, as the Batman clearly showed. That just throwing the bat on something doesn't get you $1 billion. However, it does give you a solid baseline of around 400 or 500 million, and then you hype it from there, so that you get somewhere with Batman. If it were a Batman movie, you could talk about 700 or 800 million. But it is Shazam, and I've always said that the biggest obstacles that movies like Shazam and Black Adam have are that they are Shazam and Black Adam. I don't greenlight those movies. I don't greenlight those movies unless I have a solid plan for the Trinity. Because if you look at The Flash doesn't have Superman in it, but it has a very recognizable red S and some very recognizable bats in there. All right, so those proven IPs work. The Trinity works. Once you start floating away from the Trinity, you start taking gambles, and maybe the bosses don't want to make that gamble. So I think all of these movies' futures depends on the box office, one way or another. All right, thanks, JR Server. Go ahead, next one, Solid. They may have. Yeah, but that Guillermo del Toro should have won that one. You know, he's an Oscar-winning director. I love Mike Magnolia, but one of them's a filmmaker, one of them isn't. William, you can't hate the movie because the book's ending. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Because it's called Association by Bullshit, and that ending was bullshit. I can't think of Dark Tower without thinking of that crappy ending. All right. No matter how enjoyable some of the other bookstores, I view the Dark Tower as a journey. All right, and if I'm going on a hike and everything is beautiful and it's scenic and the sky is beautiful, the mountains are great. I'm in the wrong place because I'm a city boy, but I'm going through a hike and everything is great until that last quarter of a mile, and I step in a bear trap. What do you think I'm going to think about that hike? I almost lost my damn foot, and that is how I feel about Dark Tower and that crappy rip-off ending. That insult to my intelligence for all these times. So, yeah. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Larry. All right, keep going for it. I have mutual friends. Go back to that. Go back. Keep going for it. I have mutual friends at what? The previous one, Stella?
Stella, go back to the previous, please.
As I can find it. Oops. The one after that. The one you put up after that.
Hold on just a second.
Well, I'm way back.
Yeah, it's this one's way back anyway.
Not that one. The one you showed after that one while I was still talking. Oh. Okay, I'm trying to find it too. I know it says keep trying. Let's see.
It's a Larry quote. Hold on a minute.
Keep going for it. I have mutual friends with Gun. If I can put in good word. Yeah, if you can. I'm gonna keep trying. Like I said, I just under the reality that I have no chance in hell. But yeah, dude, you never know. I mean, you have to. Kings won that game after giving up before really. You have to keep trying with anything you're trying to go for. Like I was telling that guy, the first step to any journey is the first step. I mean, that's what you got to do. So I will continue to send my emails, and then hey, you never know, dude. If it happens, you guys will be the first one to know because that will be epic. All right, guys, next. That's why Guillermo del Toro, Mike, go on with your Hellboy reboot, and Mike Magnolia was involved in the story process while making the movie. Yeah, I just don't. I just think there's a certain exhaustion when you're doing these things. It's just so how much does your audience take before they're like another one, and they just move on. And the audience really doesn't care about the circumstances. All right. And the Hellboy reboot is very accurate to the comic books and felt like you were reading something out of its graphic novel. As one of well, here's the thing, though, and I understand that, but it still shouldn't have been made. All right, that all those reasons don't translate over to a general audience, and that is your you're not making a comic book. You're making a movie based on a comic book. All right, and you have to make certain things appealing, and it worked. The first two Hellboys were successful. The third one was not. I mean, you can only go inside so long before the people on the outside who make up the majority are like, "What? I don't get it." So yeah, then and like I said, that's exactly that you can't really. They should be waiting. They should have never made that reboot, in my opinion. But they should be waiting, till the air is clear before they start another one. Question: what was the one book you guys don't understand that was made into a movie that people hate, or because there were certain things in the book that didn't make it into the movie? Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep. I would say Doctor Sleep, but I think in a good way. I think the movie is better than the book for Doctor Sleep. The Shining is another one. The Shining, it was one I wish they would have made differently because it was a very confusing movie. So yeah, those are me. What about you, Thade? Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Trying to talk through a mute.
It happens.
What was it was an adaptation question?
Yeah, it was. It's still up on the screen.
No.
What movies? What movies that were or books that were made into movies that people hated because they left things that were from the book? Mine were Doctor Sleep and The Shining.
Doctor Sleep and The Shining have to be probably the top of the list for me, and that's because, to be honest, and this is probably going to be a hot take, but I didn't like Kubrick's Shining.
Neither did I.
Because the book is so much more nuanced, and I think Kubrick lost the nuance.
It does a better job of explaining the premise than the. Kubrick is an imagery guy. He's one of the greats. Rest in peace. He's one of the greats.
Well, I'm not saying he's a horrible director at any rate, but like.
But that movie was like a visual thing, and the book is a literary thing that he did a better job in the book, in my opinion, literally letting you know what's going on. And
well, he also like he feuded with Stephen King. He literally told Stephen King, "I don't care what your book said. I'm going to do this my way." And for 30 years, him and King had an issue, and it's only been recently, before Kubrick died, that him and King got okay with what was going on, and that's why Doctor Sleep harkened more towards Kubrick's vision of The Shining than his own.
Yeah, but Doctor Sleep is a horribly underrated movie, guys.
It's a great movie. The book is freaking amazing. But I think for me, it's got to be Stephen King's The Mist. I get what they were trying to do with the end of that, but the story ended so much more ambiguously. The book, the movie ended so horribly, and like he should have just waited a couple of minutes. He should have just waited a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's when it comes to Stephen King, it's just hard.
Okay, so the joke with Stephen King is that the man doesn't know how to write an ending, which is, in my opinion, kind of rude. But he's had his issues.
Well, when it comes to movies, to me, the screenplay writer and the director should be handling that. I mean, if you're trying to translate it over into if you're going to be the one to adapt it, then your screenplay adaptation's got to be on point, and your script's got to be on point, because there's been plenty of books that are like that. That like I said, M. Night Shyamalan. All right, so perfect example. Knock at the Cabin. The book leaves things ambiguous.
Yeah,
he doesn't. He gives you a definite, and I think the movie is better for it. So there's an example of hey, but yeah, when it comes to Stephen King, he has a very interesting. It's better than Alan Moore's relationships to his adaptations.
Now here's a really big hot take. the version of The Shining that I prefer is the miniseries that was on ABC Network in the 90s. It was a 3-part miniseries, and it was really good, and it followed more of the events of the books. It had the guy from Wings in it, the show Wings.
I know what you're talking about. I remember that.
Yeah, and Rebecca De Mornay.
What was somebody's asking about Blade comics?
Go back up to the Blade question.
I got it. Are there certain things are you guys think in the Blade comics that are not going to work in live action? That's going to be made by Marvel. All of it, pretty much all of it, because the comics, it's a different tone. They're going to take the basic premise of Thade. They're going to take the basic premise of Blade, and they're going to make it fit their universe, what works for their characters. There's, and that's all they really need to do. To be honest with you,
and see here, this is where I disagree somewhat, William. I think that, and this is something that you and I haven't exactly been on the level with, because you say something differently than I do. But with the onset of Deadpool 3, you're going to say they're working towards doing a Marvel Knights with a certain part. I mean, even Kevin Feige said that he's allowing some of the movies to be darker. I think that's where Blade's going to be, and he said Deadpool 3 is still going to be rated R.
Oh no, it'll be dark. But here's the thing, though. A lot of times, like, okay, I'm going to give it the biggest example in the world. There are certain basic hallmarks that are always going to be there for Blade, just like Spider-Man. But if you read Spider-Man in the comics, that Spider-Man that you've been given is nothing other than he sticks to walls and he has the basic hallmarks. But the tone of them, the reliance on all these other things, those are things that they change to fit their story, and that's fine. But there's a lot of elements that are in Blade that I don't think that may or may not carry over. It'd be simple because those aren't elements that are in the movie. I'm not saying he'll do it in a bad way, and that he won't be dark and probably be bloody because you are hunting vampires. So I think PG-13 you can get away with a lot, but don't expect it to be exactly like how the writers write the comics. I think there's a lot that they're going to change to fit their MCU. Next. Okay.
Go to that Harry Potter question you had up, Stella.
Harry Potter's bad.
Hush you. Before I poke you in the eye.
Oh, he's answering the other question.
For me, it's a Harry Potter series because there's a lot of nuances in the book that weren't going to work in live action. The third movie sucked for me because I would have rather seen the Quidditch World Cup done the way it was done in the book. I think they copped out on that because they had the technology to do it at the time. Next question, so.
All right. Only any underrated wrestlers who have yet to make their debut on syndicated or national TV. All of them are going to be in New Japan for me. Jay White, who's a free agent, might show up on syndicated or national TV. He has for a little bit. Will Ospreay, who you've seen guest on AEW. Kota Ibushi. Okada is underrated as far as American wrestling goes, but he's a legend overseas. There's a lot of them that have rotated through, but they haven't been given the big mainstream platform yet. So those names are the ones that come to mind for me. Next one, I don't think you have an answer to that, do you?
I really don't.
All right, that's why I'm a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan, because of him not knowing how to end his movies. It's very confusing. Yeah. You know what? Him and Jordan Peele get on my nerves with that. The movies are quality, and then you're like driving along smooth, and we're on time to where we're supposed to be, and then the guy turns off into some unmarked street that probably going to get us lost, and that's how I feel when I'm watching a Jordan Peele movie or M. Night Shyamalan. I feel everything is going great, and then I feel the car turning. I'm like, there's no turns on our path. Where are we going? And that's how I feel about his movies. Us really disappointed me. Nope disappointed me in the end. In the end, not the overall movies, but their endings. And just about every M. Night movie has, except for Knock at the Cabin. That ending was appropriate. That ending, and even the writer said that was. I had alternate endings, and something like that was one of them. But he went with the ending. He went with the book, so he had no problem with the drastic changes that that Shyamalan made. And I was very satisfied with him because, like I said, I'm not used to that from him. I'm used to disappointment at the end, not completely being awed by the movie, and then I'm like, oh shit, you had to show the moss alien with the baseball bat. Oh, come on. So yeah, I'm with you, Anthony. Next one. Or do you want to comment on that?
I have a love-hate relationship with M. Night Shyamalan movies. Some of them I've liked, some of them I've really hated. The great majority of them I've really hated. I agree with something somebody says a little bit later on. I liked about 90% of Signs. But the thing, why would a group of intelligent aliens come all the way the hell across the galaxy to a planet that's 85% water if they're allergic to water?
And use it with the method that they did to make sure they didn't land on water. I'm like, come on, man.
It's retarded. Go back to the question before, Hun, that had me there. Larry's question for me. I actually watched this with Stella, and yes, he did write that new ending for it, and I think it works. It helps to bring the story back full circle.
I don't remember the ending in the new one.
It had more to do with Franny and damn it, I blanked on his name. It had more to do with Franny and the guy that she ended up with going out east. She ends up falling into a well and almost dying, and she was tempted by Flag after he died in Vegas. She's tempted by Flag again in the well to help bring him back. Okay. And she stands against it. She uses a form of Mother Abigail comes back and helps Stuart find Franny in the well. A younger version of Mother Abigail comes back, but anyway, Franny gets tempted by Randall Flagg in the well to bring him back or to bow to him so he can come back. It's a whole lot of like mental chess, basically, and it was really good. It actually rounded the story out a little bit better.
Yeah, because The Stand, and that was the last time I read I read the unabridged, the full version of it. Man, that took me forever to get to that book.
That was a good book, though. You have to admit the unabridged version was really good.
Yeah, it's good, and that's why I read it. But it's like, wow, dude, it's like I read comic books, guys. I need pictures,
My favorite novel.
I need pictures and word bubbles.
My favorite novel of Stephen King's, though, is Stephen King's It. And that one's actually just a little bit thicker than The Stand.
Yeah, and they took out the sex scene, thank God, because he would have got canceled.
Even he said he was high when he wrote that shit.
Yeah, he had to be because, and people were asking, well, why didn't they put that in the movie? In the new movies, I'm like, are you kidding? Are you seriously kidding? Why did he not put that in the movie?
Well, he did that. He requested that not be done. When the guy was writing the screenplay, he was involved with the screenplay, and he said, don't pay attention to that part of the book.
He had to be told no?
No, they told, no. Steven had to tell people, no, don't put that in the movie.
But like I said, the screenplay people should have like, hey, Steven, we're definitely not putting it in the movie. That would have been so... Wow.
But even he spent the 80s in a coke binge. When he wrote those books in the 80s, he was in a coke haze most of the time. It took his wife and most of his family pulling an intervention on him before he almost died. Like before the truck hit him, he almost died.
When you can afford the good stuff, you get the good stuff, I guess.
Has anyone seen Typekeepers of Eternity? It was an hour-long version of the Langoliers miniseries made from just images of the miniseries.
I have not.
No, but the Langoliers miniseries bothered the hell out of me, and it was because of Bronson Pinchot.
Oh, Balky?
Balky.
Oh, jeez.
Dear God.
Rocky Claus. That show, I can't believe that.
Somebody brings it up later on in the thing. Did you know that Perfect Strangers, that Family Matters was an offshoot of Perfect Strangers?
I believe it.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Okay, here's a good question. Chappie, by the way, thoughts on Pooh and Blood and Honey director Rice Frake Waterfield getting death threats? from some people saying that saying to him in the notes that they were going to call the police. Just yeah. I'm really trying to get those guys on, by the way, but like there's an 8-9 hour time
Well,
difference.
I will. Okay, so I will say this: there's been a couple of horror YouTubers that I happen to be kind of friendly with that were not fond of this movie. They voiced their opinion that they were not fond of this movie, and he attacked them. So this whole thing that's been going on this week with this Pooh Blood and Honey thing is kind of back and forth, and it's kind of retarded. I mean, simply one horror YouTuber spoke his mind on the movie and said that he suggested people not waste their money on the movie. And
Yeah, I followed that Discord. It wasn't bad. He just disagreed with him. He didn't really. I don't
yeah,
know. After him, he just disagreed with him.
yeah, he disagreed with him, but no, but the director took it as he was after him. He was attacking him, and there's been an issue with that. And the guy, I'm not going to bring up his name because again, he's another YouTuber, but he's a really good guy, and he's usually really honest and straight to the point with his opinions. And he just didn't like this movie, and that's fine. But for the director to have such a bad reaction to that is kind of, I don't know, sketchy to me.
I don't know if it's sketchy, but they're defending their work. I personally wouldn't have engaged with any critics. The only critics that matter are the people that made the movie $2 million on $100,000 budget. That's the only critics that matter. Not
Well, yeah, but on that level, we could say the same thing about Skinamarink. It was made for $15,000 and has more than quadrupled its box office.
Exactly.
Even though that movie was fucking horrible.
Here's the thing, though. When you're making an independent movie and you're trying to get justification to make more, the only critics that matter are the people who go to the movie and that do enjoy it. There are always going to be people that don't enjoy something, and that's fine. Movies are subjective. I mean, when I posted my review, I had another one of our YouTuber buddies say, "I hated that movie, but I'm glad you liked it." And that's all it is. I enjoyed myself with it. I had a lot of fun with it, but I can see where other people might have issues with it. I thought that the review that we are talking about, and without bringing up any names, I disagree with him on a fundamental level, and I understood why that particular director clarified and all that. But at the same time, even though I understand it, he doesn't need his movie's closing in on 2 million. His movie has made I put my review out there about it, and I've been going back and forth with these guys trying to get them on the show. And I'm not just saying that because I'm kissing their ass to get on the show. I'm saying this because listen, I believe in the spirit of what they are doing. The whole reason why I have guests on here that are independent filmmakers is because I believe in the spirit in what you're doing. And when you're doing these things, you're always going to have people sitting on the sidelines throwing rocks at you. All right, that's just part of the game. It's part of the game. But I'm happy for them because they got their movie made. It is doing well. It's going to be coming out on Blu-ray. And there's a lot of people who don't like it. A lot of people call it a lot of different names. But you know what? Some of the names that they call it are the things that I loved about it. In fact, you know what? While we're on that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the review that I posted so you guys can see the review. And like I said, I pretty much explained everything that I think. I just said that now, but in a much more articulate way. Hey, I'm William with the Sci-Fi Center. This last Wednesday, I had the privilege to finally see a movie I had been long awaiting, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I'd been waiting for this movie since I heard of the concept, since I heard that Jagged Edge Production was even making it. And to be honest with you, for this horror fan, it did not disappoint. Now, I've heard a lot of other reviews, a lot of people ripping it apart because it's not this or it's not that. For my opinion, it is what it sets out to be. I judge horror movies by the 3D standard, dismemberment, death, and destruction. And Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey literally opens up achieving all of those goals. You finally, unfortunately, get to find out what happens to Eeyore. This movie is about a pig and a bear that are now cannibals. They have been abandoned by Christopher Robin. So they have basically disavowed any association to humanity and human beings in general. He abandons them, and without anybody to feed them or guide them, on the verge of starvation, Eeyore is sacrificed. And at that point, they become vicious killing machines. The kills in this movie I thought were fun. I had a lot of fun. It's sadistic. It's a sadistic movie. It's not going to be for everyone. But if you're a guy like me who grew up on 80s slashers, Italian and foreign horror, and trauma movies, this one, in my opinion, is right up your alley. You get the sense that Jagged Edge Productions had a lot of fun making it, and it bleeds over into the viewing. The audience that I was with had a ball. We laughed. I don't know if we laughed at the right spots, but it was a night out, a fun night out. It was a good time. It just harkens back to the days when we just went to the movies and watched stuff get chopped up, blown up, and put into meat grinders. It does have some gratuitous nudity, but like I said, if you go back to my era of growing up in the movies, it checked off all of my boxes. I don't think any of the parts of the movie were too overboard for what it is. Keep in mind, the title of the movie is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. You got to know what you're going into. So if you're someone like me who grew up on, Friday the 13th and all the B-movie derivatives from that franchise, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. I may be a little bit biased because I've waited for the movie for so long, but once again, I've waited for a lot of movies in certain situations only to be disappointed. Pooh, Blood and Honey didn't disappoint me, but once again, it's not for everybody. But if you're into things getting cut up, blown up, grinded, burned, ran over, Pooh, Blood and Honey is definitely a movie that you should see. Right now, it's in theaters. I went to a Fathom event, but I'm pretty sure it'll be released on DVD soon or on streaming soon. Also, if you do enjoy this movie, you'll be happy to know that a sequel has been greenlit already, and they're going to move on to Bambi. So if you're worried about your childhood being ruined, you might want to skip this one. But if you want to have a lot of fun watching good independent horror, I enjoyed myself. All right, thanks, guys. I liked it. And like I said, my parameters and my expectations were what they were. And I seen some of the reviews, and a lot of it was just different parameters. If your parameters were one thing, then you hated the movie. If your parameters were another, you loved it. You had fun. So.
Well, the YouTuber I was talking about, like I said, he didn't lambaste the movie too badly. He did say that, because he's a huge proponent for indie horror. He loves indie horror. But the thing is all he said was there was so much more they could have done with it that they didn't do. And yeah, that's all he really said. And people have just jumped his ass about it all week.
That's the internet, though, and I always implore that, I take the high road when it comes to that. And like I said, I disagreed. I retweeted, but I replied to his retweet because there was something he said that in his review is his opinion. I respect his opinion. There was something he said about if you're a horror fan, and to me, I didn't go after him. I just said, hey, here's one horror fan that feels differently, and that's it. And I was respectful about it. I wish people could respond respectfully, but Twitter is accessible, and that's what we get from Twitter. So, but like I said, I don't think the movie needs any defense. The people who paid to see it and I had fun with it are the only defense that this movie needs. And critics are going to be critics. Listen, some of my best buddies are critics. We've sat next to each other and watched movies, and I thought it was great, and he thought it was horrible, and vice versa, because they came in with different parameters than I came in with. And that's just what subjectivity is. So I think it all has a happy ending because, like I said, we're already greenlighting Blood and Honey 2. So that's already been because of the success of this one. They're going to be able to do a lot of things. A lot of the people criticize. He's going to be able to do a lot more screenwriting-wise, time-wise, management-wise. To make a movie for $100,000, I know that might sound like a lot of money to people. That's nothing. When you figure all the things that have to be paid for up front, $100,000 isn't a lot, for what they were trying to do. So I had fun with it, but I could completely understand why other people didn't. All right, we'll move on. Any underrated? Okay, I got that one. Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, we already got that one.
Old school alarm going off with the horn. They make those anymore? Go ahead. Question. Okay, I still got that one.
Well, he said something to Stella that he thinks she missed a question of his, but that's the only question I can think he asked.
How do you book the debut of Rick Steiner's son, Braun, on the main roster, would you book him as a babyface or a bad guy? I mean, Rick was both. Rick Steiner was primarily a babyface. Now, if it was his Uncle Scott, then it'd be a heel. If they're going to play off the Steiner name, and it doesn't seem like, I don't think they are. So either or, because remember, you can go heel or babyface real quick if the booking is right. So I would start him off as a heel because I think WWE is face, because WWE, in my opinion, is heel heavy right now. He would probably flourish better in that environment. That's just my opinion. All right, next one. All right, who is the one musical artist or actor from early Hollywood that you guys would want to see a biopic done about, and who would you choose to play choose as the director? Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix, and the director would be, wow. There's a lot of directors that could really get that. That could really get that. I'm gonna have to hold out on who would be directing it, because I know my go-to is always Denny Villeneuve, but I don't think that's the type of movie he would want to do necessarily. Jordan Peele's horror, but that doesn't mean he can't do other movies. I don't have a director right off the hand. Do you have anybody?
I don't have a director for your situation, but I do have an actor from early Hollywood I would like a biopic on. That would be Roscoe Arbuckle. He faced a murder charge over a woman named Virginia Rapp that said he raped her, and it was later found out they ruined this man's career. He was one of the first cancel culture victims in Hollywood. They ruined this man's career, and later to find out that he had nothing to do with her being harmed. And I would like to see that story done. As for a director, I would say Tarantino, but Tarantino puts his own spin on things, so that wouldn't work.
Yeah, Jimmy. If I could use him for mine, but Jimi Hendrix would be like a vampire or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'd say just about any run of the mill director that would pick this up could do it. Just the guys that direct drama and stuff. I mean, the only directors I've got floating around in my head right now are really good horror directors, and this is not a horror story. So, I just have to say that I'd like to see Roscoe Arbuckle done. He was known as Fatty Arbuckle. He was a big guy. He was a comedian.
Okay, now that I heard of him, Fatty Arbuckle.
Yeah. His name was Roscoe Arbuckle, but the name that they called him in Hollywood was Fatty because he was a big man. But he was accused of rape and murder of a woman named Virginia Rapp at a party, and come to find out later on that what caused her death wasn't him. It was an infection. She was assaulted by somebody else, and there was an infection that took several days that built up in her system, and that's what killed her. But his whole career was shattered by that because he was put on trial, publicly put on trial, and it was bad.
Next one. What are your guys' thoughts on the possibility? Apparently, that Bob Iger is mentioning the guy who is the head of Disney Entertainment to be his replacement. That makes sense.
Okay, so I want to speak to this because I watched a video on it right before we actually did the show. Basically, there's a guy that's between Feige and Iger. And that guy may be getting Iger's job eventually when Iger bows out.
Again.
Because Iger's only there for a little bit. He's there to fix things, and then he says he's gone again. Well, this guy is getting groomed to take Iger's place, which would leave his position open for Kevin Feige to move up. Now, Feige would still be in, but the only thing that would change for Feige is he would be in charge of all of Disney Studios, not just Marvel. He'd be in charge of Lucasfilm. He'd be in charge of the animation wing. He'd be in charge of Marvel. He'd be in charge of all of it instead of just focusing on Marvel. And they're talking about, well, if Feige moves up, that they think that Jon Favreau should move up and take Feige's position. And I think that if Favreau stepped up to Feige's position, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I hadn't heard a lot about it. I know Iger is not there forever.
Well, this just came up like Friday. This is a new story that I've been kind of following.
Okay, so wow, there you go. All right, how do you guys think Kevin Feige and Marvel are going to write the void that Eternals? What do you mean?
The Void. It's Sentry's other side. Sentry's dark side.
Oh, I don't think they're going to.
It would be very hard to adapt the Void into a story because that's just such a super powerful character. I mean, you're talking about a character that's 5-6 times stronger than Thanos. It's literally death in a bottle. And Sentry is going to be hard enough to do without making him a Superman clone.
Yeah, I'm betting you may not see Sentry anytime soon.
Now, Hyperion, you may see, but Sentry, I don't think you're going to see for a very long time.
Yeah, Sentry is a bloated one. But all right, next one. Oh, damn, Anthony. What are you guys' thoughts on Bruce Williams' condition worsening? It's unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. I know I have family members that are going through that right now, and it's unfortunate. It's just it's all I can really say.
I said this yesterday on Twitter, and I hate to sound dark about this, guys, because Bruce Willis is a beloved actor. But with as fast as his condition is going downhill, you're probably going to hear about him passing here not very long from now. The way that he went from aphasia straight into dementia means that there's something physically going on with him that is causing him to snowball into his final days. It will be sad to see him go.
And I'm hoping that he fights the odds and stays around until his 90s. But obviously, we're dealing with the reality of an illness here. So next one. Oh, damn. Anthony's got a lot of questions. Who is the one musical artist or actor? Oh, you got this one already.
We already did this one, Hunt. He asked it twice.
Okay.
No, I have not seen Infinity Pool yet. I have not had a chance to see a lot of movies here lately outside of streaming. But I do intend on seeing it when it hits streaming, so I will let you know then. Coincidentally, Megan, which was the female AI doll movie that just came out like a month or so ago.
It's on streaming already.
Is about to hit streaming on the 24th, and it's being released in the unrated version on streaming.
Okay. We promoted that movie, by the way.
Which means I get to watch the unrated version where everybody else got to see PG-13.
Was that no way was that PG-13?
That was a PG-13 movie.
Oh,
another PG-13 horror. Why are we keep making PG-13 horror?
Hollywood, we need to knock this off. All right, we need to knock this off. All right, we can't. Let's not do this anymore. All right.
We just answered this question.
Oops, hold on. Let me get back to me here.
Yeah, we just answered this question. You just voiced it differently.
Yeah. No more PG.
No more PG horror.
Yeah, hold on,
please.
Keep that fourth 1,000 up on. Listen, Hollywood, if you're watching, first of all, get a life. If you are watching me right now, but if you're watching me, R-rated. All right, you just can't do it right. I know there are thrillers and all that don't require certain things, but it's like, wanting to make a gourmet meal and all you got in the refrigerator is bologna. All right, you just can't do it. Stop it.
Yeah, bologna roll-ups do not make a good meal. Okay.
Fourth, Awesome John William is that review video isolated on your channel. Make it a YouTube short. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's on both of it's on both the Sci-Fi Center's YouTube, and it was put on Point Echelons as well. Yeah, I am going to do a lot. I'm going to be doing a lot of YouTube shorts. So yes, I will be on it. All right, next one. Question: aside from the Flash himself and the general elements of Flashpoint, what is the main thing you're looking forward from the Flash to see how this is all resolved? That's the main thing, to see how this is all resolved and to see what the reaction to the Flash, how it shapes the future.
I just want to see how it's going to roll into the DCU.
exactly. That's so we pretty much
At this point, and this is where I'm going to sound like I'm speaking blasphemy, considering it's one of my favorite genres of movies. At this point, we have well over a couple of decades of modern comic book movies. I don't have many expectations when it comes to these movies. I just want to see the flashy shit and see where the story goes and move on. I don't even really judge comic book movies anymore because they are what they are.
All right. That next question. How do you feel about Liv Morgan? A fan favorite or a legit top talent? Fan favorite, not legit top talent yet.
No. She's fun. She's fun, but she's not top talent.
Yeah, she has the look and everything that they want for that spot, but she's not there yet.
Hell, she even appeared on the Chucky TV series.
Do you think that George Takei will ever No. I think
No.
I don't think any of those guys are. They're all
No.
90 now. So.
We're looking at a point now where we're at Star Trek where the Next Generation crew's the old guard. And, me, William, and Brian had this discussion last night. We think it's going to go on from there. After Picard Season 3 ends with the Next Generation crew, that's going to be their swan song.
Yeah, he thinks that the kids are going to handle it, which is, I'm open for it. There's so much Trek out there right now, so.
We already know there's going to be a Section 31 show. We already know there's going to be a Starfleet Academy show. I think that the time is ripe for the next generation to come up.
I really don't want to see a Starfleet Academy show, but I mean, I have a choice in that. So, all right, next one. My favorite sports movie, Rocky IV.
Mine is Remember the Titans.
That's a good one.
Or Friday Night Lights.
All right, next. By the way, William and Thade, I find it hilarious how some people say before the trailer was released that they were going to boycott the Flash because of Ezra Miller. You guys, I could go over it again, but I'm going to say this one, another time. Math is undefeated. The people who are on the internet boycotting anything do not have the power of the people with their money out at the ticket counter. All right. Most of the people don't know what Ezra Miller is going through, and the ones who do know don't care. So they can all know they don't care. All right. If they don't, you cannot make someone care just because you think it's wrong. All right. They have the right to not give a rat's ass. So math is undefeated.
Okay, and I want to also address this fact, and at danger of getting myself canceled for saying what I'm about to say, is this: as the boycotting of the Flash is going to work about as well as the boycotting of Hogwarts Legacy worked. Okay, yeah. So many people have bought that game. So many people have positively reviewed that game. I personally own that game. I have not started playing it yet, but I'm going to stream it. And you know what? I think the simple fact that anybody thinks that a boycott's a good idea is freaking retarded. Stop it.
Here's the thing.
Let people enjoy things. Okay?
I don't agree with her stance on this, but here's the thing. No. Just like any American, anybody in a democratic society has a right to voice their opinion. Their position in your lore does not exclude them, whether you agree with their opinion or not. Just because they are the head of something or they are the public facing of something, wherever country that they live in, they're paying taxes, they're people. They're a citizen that is allowed to have an opinion, regardless. The people who run Chick-fil-A have opinions that don't line up with a lot of people. All right, they have a right to have those opinions. Now, I'm not boycotting someone who has a certain opinion about things unless they are violating someone's rights. Now, her supporting any candidate that she wants to, that is a right a person living in a democratic society has. I, as a fan, will respect your right to do that, and I will, whether I like your product or not. Unless you are committing a crime or you are violating someone's rights or civil rights, then you are allowed to have that opinion in a free world, a free first world. And to say that you should cancel somebody for an opinion, that's literally the antithesis of all of this. I mean, she can have her opinion, and you could still enjoy her product. Two different things.
Well, I'm gonna say it like this. I dealt with this about 5 or 6 years ago. When everybody got mad about H.P. Lovecraft and the fact that he was a racist.
He's a racist.
He was a racist. I will be straight up with you. The man was a racist. You know why? Look at the times he was raised in. Does that forgive the way he thought? No. But that also doesn't mean that the art can't stand for itself. Okay? Once an artist puts art out there, it becomes public domain. It's out there in the wild. You can either choose to look at it or not. But don't sit here and tell me what I can and cannot enjoy because of your favorite activism this week. Okay? I am so up to the top over these freaking boycotts.
If you look at what Lovecraft, the hilarity about that is if you watch the last thing that hit the screen for Lovecraft, there's an awful lot of us colored folk in it. So guess what?
Lovecraft country. Lovecraft country. Exactly.
Irony one. Next one.
Which, by the way, another really good Jonathan Majors joint.
Yeah, no, this guy's just, every time I see him. Underrated gangster movie of all time at Nepal. Ooh.
Casino.
All the ones I like, everybody talks about. Well, no, people talk about that one.
Yeah, older people. Nobody in the new generations really know what Casino is.
The new generation doesn't have gangster movies either, so.
Yeah, I actually really like The Many Saints of Newark, which was the Soprano prequel movie. I think it's a bit of underrated, but then again, I love The Sopranos.
Underrated. Gangster, like you say crime, I'm going to say Heat. But that's not a gangster movie.
Hollywoodland. Not Hollywoodland. L.A. Oh, God, what is it? Gangsterland or something like that? No, Gangsterland, I think is the name of the movie.
Gangland?
Gangland or Gangsterland, something like. It's about the 1940s and about the mobsters that was there.
This is a tough one. I'm going to go ahead and say the one that was done in Washington. American Gangster.
American Gangster. Yeah, that one was good. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. I actually used to hang out with a great nephew of his.
Like you didn't get shot. All right, next one.
Him and I were really good. Him and I were really good friends for like 5 or 6 years.
All right. So let's see. We
are caught up on questions.
Yeah, I thought we've talked because we weren't on. We've done shows since then. I've done shows since then, but we hadn't talked about the trailer on an overnight live. I'm excited about the trailer, even if I do not like the business moves that led up to James Gunn. I think James Gunn has been put in a horrible position because some of the decisions that were made prior to him taking the helm. I think this could have been handled better. I think they have kneecapped themselves in a way by the way they've done it. Oops. Oh, okay. Let me keep that up there, Stella, because I want to get the trailer thing before I forget. But the trailer, I'm having a lot of fun dissecting. I'm having a lot of fun watching streams for the first time in years. We have an event movie that we can literally have fun talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the Flash trailer? You're talking about the Flash trailer?
Yeah, we're gonna have some negativity, but I'm just too much positivity about it. Like you said, let the business is gonna handle itself. If this movie does well, and MILF Magnet Momoa brings in his $1 billion, who knows?
Do you think they're gonna kill off Affleck in this movie?
If they do, it won't matter because he's probably coming from a universe that never existed anyway, unless the Flash created it. The Flash is doing things that puts certain things in motion. So
my question is, look, is this going to be like low-key Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Possibly, but I'm thinking more like Yesterday's Enterprise than that, less complicated.
Oh, just a moment on that fact that you just made, the Yesterday's Enterprise reference. Holy crap, Rachel Garrett. That's all I've got to say. In that Picard episode.
Oh, Red Lady. Go back to that. Go back to that, Stella, the previous one. Because I'm going to go ahead and answer that one now. Hi, Hal Jordan.
Go up to the JR server, Stella. Yeah, there we go.
All right, so JR server, William, anything else you can tell us more about the DC box set pitch? You plan to make that stuff. Um, I don't know. Like I said, okay. Let's go over what I started. We were going to go with Man of Steel. Man of Steel is this that thing that he uses to plug in to the Fortress of Solitude, and he uses it as part of the key to the. It's going to have Man of Steel. Um, it's going to have Superman's part in the Dark Side arc. And then it's going to have a promo since we have this new Superman coming. James Gunn will have a promo in there for Superman Legacy. All right, BVS is a Batmobile. It is a Batmobile that the top thing slides off, and that's your Blu-ray. Well, when you open up the hinges, you have the Blu-ray in the middle, and you have a Batman figure in the armor, and then you have the Superman figure, and you can recreate that. Do you bleed? Where he's standing on top of the Batmobile. You also have that part of the story arc, the dream, the thing he had as far as everything that happens in the Dark Side story arc, as far as Flash going back in time, all that kind of stuff. You have that in there. All right. And at the same time, guess what? James Gunn got a Batman movie. You have another little snippet in there, promo of that one. All right, so you move on to Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is going to have, unfortunately, Wonder Woman 84 in it, but hey, it's part of her story, and it's going to have the original Wonder Woman in it. That one comes in a stone-looking case that has her shield on top of the sword that you can actually take out and play with if you want to. And it has a golden lasso. Wonder Woman 84, and her part, because remember, if you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, obviously you see the ship over Amazon as they're about, with a dead Diana there. So you tell that story in there, and you do it all animated, not just because it's cheaper, but because it's cooler. And then you have a snippet in there from, once again, here we go, James Gunn, Paradise Lost. That's how we advertise Paradise Lost. Aquaman, same thing. You have the DVD set in his little scaly thing, right? And then you have his trident on it. When you open that up, Aquaman 1, Aquaman 2 is in there. Aquaman's part in the story, because we've already seen where Darkseid has obviously invaded Atlantis because he kills him, and he kills what's his face, Willem Dafoe's character. So we complete that story in there via animation, and we don't have anything coming forth from James Gunn as far as Aquaman goes. So we move on. We move on to the Flash. The Flash has different ones you can buy. You can buy one with Keaton's bat emblem on it, the Flash symbol on it, or you can have Affleck's on it, all on the same. They all have symbols that you can turn. When you turn them and open them up, the Blu-ray is in there. The Flash is in there, and the Flash has a huge part in that particular story arc. So Cosmic Treadmill, all that stuff is in there for him. You complete his storyline there, and then you go on throughout. You release Suicide Squad. You can put them both in there if you want to, because James Gunn is now in charge of your universe. You put Suicide. This is now where you have a business reason to do the haircut. Right now, you have no business reason to do the haircut, no matter how much people want to pay for it. But now it's an extra in this Suicide one, and you tell an animated story at the bottom there because those two characters were introduced. Remember, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Joker is talking about how Harley Quinn died. You tell that story in animation there, and then you promote whatever is going on with Peacemaker and all that in there because he's part of that world, and you just continue to go on. But the Suicide Squad could have a couple of different things on it. I mean, you could really go crazy with Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's the most marketable one on there. Collectible sets, and the reason why you do it that way is because you're not doing it for any particular fandom. You're doing that for profit, because when you sell these things like this, they sell. People buy them. I've gone to Best Buy and watched people buy the most inane, dumbest stuff, but I'm like, because the packaging was cool. My biggest example I bring up is the canceled Battlestar Galactica series from Glenn A. Larson from the late 1970s into the early 80s. It only had 2 seasons. You couldn't give anything like that away, but you put a Cylon head on it with a little thing on it. It sells. Knight Rider DVD Blu-ray sells. Physical media is supposed to be dead, yes, but when you package things in the exclusive collectibles, that stuff moves. That stuff moves at Walmart. That stuff moves at Best Buy. That stuff moves at Costco. Moves everywhere. So you just continue to do that, and what you are doing is not only are you making a profit because it costs nothing to make Blu-rays, even special editions. Not only are you making a product, but you're filling the time in between these James Gunn movies come out with energy and momentum going forward. So being told in parallel as he's releasing his thing, because it's going to take him a while to get stuff released. All right, and it's not only going to, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for people to actually care about his stuff being released. Because remember, when you release a Superman or a Batman, it takes time for whatever generation that has that death grip on their childhood one to let go long enough to give yours a chance. So if you have this environment, you're using your old stories to make new money and tell new stories. This could work, and you're not going up and doing a hashtag movement, which hey, that's great, but hashtags are white noise. If you want a movie company to do something for you, you need to speak the same language as their stockholders speak, and that's cash. Because when you speak the language of cash, you're going to James Gunn's boss and James Gunn's boss's bosses, which are the shareholders and the chairman of the board. When you speak in cash, you're going to the top of the food chain, right? Same thing. If you want anything remotely close to what we are familiar with to be wrapped up, continued, or whatever, you make that decision a lot more complicated for when you go out and make The Flash $1 billion movie. When you go out and if all the milfs go out and make Aquaman $1 billion movie, you made the decision of this universe can still make money. Why are we blowing this up? Versus, wow, we got a brand new slate that we'll see in 2.5 years. Maybe it'll make money. The money that you're talking about with these movies that we have right now is a lot closer than 2 years, 2.5 years away. So you're asking people who speak cash to take risk. So you you could do this a couple of different ways. You could show the propensity that we will buy pretty much anything that's out there, and at the same time, you're not just doing it for any particular fan. You're propelling your story along. Or we can see how these movies go, and if the Flash makes $1 billion and Momoa comes in and pulls in anything close to that, when you're talking about a Superman movie, an unknown actor playing Superman that may break 500-600 million. 800 billion to $1 billion is a lot more than 500 billion, 600 billion, or 600 million. So it's going to be an interesting conversation that's not going to happen in the fanboy space. It's going to happen in the boardroom. So that's my plan. Make it all animation, and make it different types of animation. Do like the liquid television route, where each portion of the story is told in a stylistic animation, like we were talking about with the Matrix, the Animatrix. And when you look at the Blade Runner, the lead up YouTube movies, some of those animations do that. This current generation speaks in animation. Even the younger adults and the millennials, they love that shit. So I know a lot of people think I hate cartoons. No, I hate 90s animation. Modern stuff, I'm all for it. All right, next. Q, in terms of the streaming record being broken by Black Panther Wakanda Forever on Disney Plus, are you guys surprised that it was the most watched movie ahead of Doctor Strange? Yeah, because a lot of people, not as many people that saw Black Panther went to the movies to see Black Panther 2. Black Panther 2 made good money, but it didn't make with Black Panther. A lot of it is because people just weren't even invested in a movie that was called Black Panther with no Black Panther, at least not the Black Panther. So a lot of those people that made up the difference will watch it on streaming, and then it's just that risk is taken away. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all. What about you, Thade?
Yeah, it kind of did surprise me, considering there was a whole lot more yearning for the Doctor Strange movie than Wakanda Forever. But I kind of understand it too. I mean, I enjoyed Wakanda Forever. It was a bit long, but I enjoyed it.
I had my issues going into it, so I enjoyed the movie for what it was. But once I'm watching Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I felt the void that the Black Panther should have been there. He needed to be there. Take as much time as you need, and so that you can tell a story with T'Challa. Without him being there, I think it hurt the movie. I don't think it hurt the movie box office popularity, but for me, it hurt the movie. It hurt me more because I thought as he was rising up to the challenge of being the titular enemy in the film, that he had no one else to rise to that occasion. So, next. All right, question. What are your thoughts on Batfleck continuing in DCU? Enoch disagreed with me, but I honestly can't see him directing DCU but never acting again. Would any of us fans say never, including myself? Take that with a grain of salt. We're not in those offices. Ben Affleck is perfectly capable of acting, And once again, if this movie that he's in does really, really well, it's a different conversation that's had. Even if people say, even if the actors say, I'm never going to do this, I'm going to do this, I moved on. All right. That is what their truth when you're talking to them. But circumstances change. If The Flash does well and people want to see more of what made it do well, the situation has changed. What people say in the past doesn't mean jack shit anymore. All right. People evolve beyond the situations that they're talking about. If, 2 weeks from now, or we get to June 13th or June 16th, and everybody's screaming and talking about how cool it was to see Batfleck, then the bean counters and the real bosses, the shareholders, are going to put pressure on people to give them that. Because you have a Academy Award winning director, a talent, playing a proven IP winner in Batman. They're going to want that money, and it's going to be an interesting conversation because, once again, me and Enosh and any other fan, we're nothing in compared to the shareholder. The shareholder can make stuff happen that we'll never know about, or cut stuff that we'll never know about. So I think it all depends on the Flash is money, because, like I said, situation and money dictates things, not us. I mean, I'm sitting in here in my little box. You take what I say with a grain of salt. Hearing that money, that's what does it.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, he's met with James Gunn, so I don't know what to tell you, Larry.
I can tell you that money talks and bullshit walks. That's what I can tell you.
I'm just in the back room because I'm always lurking, but I wasn't planning on stopping in, but my name was there, so that's fine, Larry. I didn't mean to take over your show. I just...
No, come on in. No, it's and we're going to hear this over and over again with a lot of people that not you, but in the directors and stars saying that they're not going to do this, they're not interested in doing this, and until the cash register starts making that sound.
Yeah.
And then like I said, if knock on wood, if let's say the Flash does just bonkers, and it's followed up by the MILF magnet making bonkers, to me, that just changes a lot. I just can't believe that money is not going to have an effect on a company that is trying to manage $46 billion to be able to make not just that toys. Now they're talking about Ben Affleck toy. I mean, it's just so much money to be made, and that money's right here. That money's right here, and this other money, this Brave and the Bold, and this legacy, that's out here. I just as somebody. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen. Money's a power, like what Rick James said, cocaine's a very valuable drug. Money's a very powerful drug. This is going to be a weird situation. So I can't, there's nobody that can really say that Batfleck is never going to come back and play Batman again. Even them right now, because the money is like, I come back to you with an offer, like Eli, you say you're not going to sell me that Cobra Commander helmet, right? Yeah. You said you're never going to sell it, not like that. Yep. But situation changes. You fall. I mean, I'm not saying this. I'm throwing hypothetical. Yeah, no, I get fall on hard times. I come out with $100,000. Enosh, can I have that Cobra Commander helmet? You're probably, unless you got $100,000 hidden in it, you're probably going to say yes. You weren't lying when you said you would never sell it to me. Right. But I presented you with a new circumstance that says, Enosh, take that cash. Right. So none of these guys are lying. And just because they quoted and they said something a while back, allow these guys to evolve as the situation changes. Because, like I said, the Flash, and I did not expect this, but until I saw that trailer, the Flash could be a game changer even for James Gunn. So none of us can say never. But you look weird in the dark.
I don't have the webcam hooked up.
But what do you think about that since you're here?
About
some of these guys, may continue in these roles if the money.
I mean, the more that this is happening, I'm thinking that they're possibly building up to something that 10 years from now we no, Larry, you're good too, by the way. No worries, man. No worries. It's all in
No, it's all in conversation, man.
It's all in conversation, man. No, I feel like they're building up to something that may be bigger than we could possibly imagine.
I agree.
And that's why they use wording like, "Hey, we didn't fire Henry Cavill."
Yeah, or Gal Gadot. Yeah,
You know,
Well, he's literally said that he spoke with Henry.
right?
I mean, you know,
And Gal
and Gal
and Ben
and Ben, you
and you know
know,
who
and
else I don't think?
Zach.
Yeah,
and
no,
Zach.
I don't think the Rock's off the table for Black Adam at some point. It might not be what he was going to do and fill in that void, but I could I could see all these guys back on the table, negotiations and stuff like that. And that's why I'm feeling sort of good, where I can sit back because I'm looking at some of these things and I'm like, when we were talking about the reboot thing, and when I'm talking realignment, I'm like, now I feel much stronger about that realignment because when you realign, you give yourself options. Nothing's off the table, and you let certain situations dictate, like what's popular, what's gonna make your story work, what could add to his Supergirl story.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean,
Oh, contracts can be. I mean, yeah, we can negotiate new contracts though. That part's the easy part. Once you have the leverage, you say, hey, but right now there's no reason. If you don't have a reason to negotiate a contract with Cavill right now, then you wouldn't negotiate one. But that's
well, and I think that's the difference, right? Is that they got no reason to tip their hand right now and tell you what they're doing. So everybody just needs to chill, relax.
Go see the Flash. Go
see these movies. Go see the Flash. Go see the films.
Can I speak to this?
Hold on.
Let him speak real quick.
I'm gonna demod you in a minute. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Thade, but I swear to God, man, every time I start to say something, you talk over me. No, I'm just messing with you. What was I saying now? No, go see the movie, right? Go see the films, and if you don't see these characters again, remember the good times. Remember what you got. Appreciate what you got. I've said it. They can't take away your copy of Zack Snyder's Justice League. They can't take away your copy of BVS. They can't take away your Man of Steel. You've got that. You're always going to have whatever movie it is that you enjoyed, that you liked in the DCEU. It's going to be there, right? And so, but the thing is things change. And this is my biggest frustration right now with the Snyderverse movement is that it's all filled with this notion of, oh, well, if we had just got what we wanted, we'd be okay with change. Well, no, you got to be okay with change regardless of if you get what you want or not. And I understand William and I go back and forth on this too. And this is something that William and I disagree with. I mean, so Larry, Thade, anybody, like this is just, we have our own points, right? And so the thing is like with whether or not it's viable, whether or not it's whatever, whether or not it should have been, finished. I believe it should have been finished. But I don't believe that right now it's the biggest it's not like it was the MCU in its heyday, right? And it's at its peak, where all of a sudden they just pulled the plug and before Endgame and did something else. Right, I mean that's what this would be like, to a DC fan. Like instead of being able to see the Dark Side War and the anti-life equation and all that stuff, it would be like for a Marvel fan before you got the two parts, Infinity War and Endgame, that Marvel just came in and said we're rebooting everything, right? And so I get that, except for we all love this stuff. We all love this thing, but it's not, and I know, man, I'm going to take heat for this, but, the lady came out that one time and said, that Zack Snyder's Justice League was what was it, a cultural phenomenon, or, is that what she said? Cultural
phenomenon.
She used a word, though. She used this, international phenomenon or whatever, cultural phenomenon, worldwide phenomenon, whatever, because she's trying to promote a thing. Okay, unfortunately, people have latched onto that, and they're all of a sudden like, "Oh my God, it's a cultural phenomenon." See, they admitted it. It's this change. It changed the game. It did this. Well, if it changed the game, then why is there any doubt about anything? Like if it was this huge game changer that was really going to make them a bunch of money, that they felt was really a thing and not just a part of the fandom, overall. And I'm not talking
That's
about
actually the easiest question I've had all day.
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm not talking about Snyder fandom. I'm talking about DC fandom, because we have to remember we are not the only DC fans. We're just not. And that's the problem, is DC is so splintered and shattered as far as their fandom. Nobody agrees on what these things should be. We are all part of a group that loved Zack Snyder's stuff, that loved his vision, that loved how he purposed these characters, and we wanted to see more of that. But listen, William will tell you, go on to Facebook and find a Facebook page about Superman. There ain't people out there loving Henry Cavill. There ain't people out there loving Zack Snyder. You got like a couple mixed in with like a bunch of people who want to turn it into Super Friends 2.0.
Yeah.
Is what you got. And that's the problem, is there's such polar opposites that they just clash hard, because we want a more grounded Superman who is in a real lived in world like Zack Snyder provided us. We want that world. We want a Batman that has to deal with the struggles of being Batman. Not just, oh well, everything's great because I'm Batman, right? But deals with the struggles. Same thing with Superman. I love some of the scenes in Man of Steel where Clark has to figure out just who he is, how he's going to deal with something, what is his response to stuff. I think one of the most powerful things, especially for me as a person of faith, is when he's literally sitting in the church. You're talking an alien from another planet is sitting in a church wanting to talk to, the minister there about what he should do, about what his moral obligation is. And so given that, I just feel like we've got to, there's that side of it. But then again, there is the other side of it, where there's people who feel like these superheroes should have an innocence to them, a naivety about them, that Superman should be the big blue Boy Scout that does no wrong and is just good and inherently good just for the sake of being good, and that Batman is just Batman, and it just is what it is. And so because of that, you have two different sides of the fandom. And so every time I hear somebody go, well, do what the fans want, I'm continually asking, which ones?
I follow the money. I'm following the money.
Yeah, but you know what? But I don't even think at this point we can definitively say where the money is on that, because.
Well, let's start.
No,
right?
No, you can't, because there's been nothing for the other side, William.
Okay, first.
That's what I'm saying. All we've had is the DCEU. We've had the DCEU since 2013.
What other side are we talking about when we're talking about money? Money doesn't have sides.
You just said you could follow the money, but there's no money on the other side. There's no money on this because there hasn't been a thing. There hasn't been a thing.
$678 million. Did that happen or not?
For what?
For Man of Steel.
Yeah, but there hasn't been any other movies yet to be able to decide what they want.
So the next DC movie, how much did that make? $871 million, correct?
Yeah.
For BVS?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get fired when you don't react to that money positively in the right way. All right. Anybody in any other company besides what DC, the mess that it was at that point, would have been relieved of their jobs if they didn't build on that. Before you get to what you're saying, which I don't disagree with at all, but when we're running a business and you are inheriting characters that are going to be divisive no matter what, and once again, DC, if you're watching, don't be a pussy. If you can't get it, if you can't deal with divisiveness, get the hell out of the game.
But that's the only money. That's the only money that was coming in was one side, and so now they are doing something different. And I'll be honest with you, if we're going to look at the money, if we're going to look at the notoriety, if we're going to look at the things that are certified fresh that people seem to be responding to, It's the James Gunn stuff that's out there.
But
So-
okay, we got
okay.
to that point because they
I
chose to
get
go
that,
that way, not because the money
but that's
told
the
them to.
point we're at, and
Remember when I told
all
you
you
money
can
was
deal with,
undefeated?
all you can deal with is where we're at. Hypotheticals are
But
hypotheticals.
I understand, but you can't blame people
facts
for
are
looking
facts.
at that math. Money is undefeated. Those idiots that are gone now. Let's clap on that. We can all agree on that.
Well, yeah.
Those clowns. Remember when I said money doesn't lose? Those clowns went up against the money. That's why we're where we're at.
I get it,
Those
but
clowns
now
went up against the
we're in a place where the DC the DC story is fractured. This is why I feel like it needs to be rebooted.
But
Because
it's always been fractured, dude. For 80 years, it's been
but
fractured. When is it not
okay,
been fractured?
and that's why somebody needed to bring it to an end.
It's never going to be unfractured. Even now, this new stuff, dude, trust me, you know very well that in 2.5 years, there are going to be some grown men crapping in their diapers over something. There's always going.
Well, there's going to be something. There's going to be something, but I'm just saying, right now, the DCEU, and most of it is Warner Brothers' fault. It's their own fault because they didn't make a cohesive commitment to the continuity and to what it was. They went all over the place with the nonsense, and they got involved in scripts. They got involved in the way that movies were filmed. They got involved with the people who were actually shown in the movie. We got the nonsense with Shazam. Even though I love Shazam dearly, the fact that we got a headless Superman is just dumb. And it hurts. And so you get all these little things that chip away at DC. Every time you think you get something good, you get something chipped away. Every time you think you get something you're excited about, something else goes away. We've argued for the last 7 years whether or not Henry Cavill was ever going to come back. I mean, nonstop. Every once in a while there'd be a report, Henry Cavill's back, and then all of a sudden, Henry Cavill's out. Well, did he ever really come back? I don't know, but he's out again. And Batfleck, he's out, he's in, he's out, he's in. I know all the particulars, obviously, of everything that happened with that situation. But the reality is that it has continued to just go back and forth. It's been a huge argument. The fans have acted irrationally and immaturely on both ends. On both ends of that spectrum, right? So it's not just Snyder fans. It's the other fans. They've all just acted like sometimes like they've they've just lost their minds, and it's at a point where I'm ready to give it a chance. If they're not going to give us those two movies, you have to ask yourself though. Is anybody still watching? Is anybody still caring about, oh, well, we want to see that? We do, but we cannot conflate our passion with the general public's want of something. I'm passionate, man, about a bunch of stuff, but I understand at the end of the day that my passion for something does not translate into the general public's desire to see that same thing. Because when I talk to people left and right, nobody's at a point right now. I mean, we had Ben Affleck, but nobody. I mean, and I know you're saying that you do your thing like with Robert Pattinson.
It's money.
But Robert Pattinson was Batman. There was months and months and months. There was months and months and months and months of promo stuff for the Batman. If you walked into the Batman thinking that was going to be Ben Affleck, then you're dumb.
There's a lot of dumb people.
No. If you're a comic book fan that watches any of these freaking
the majority
movies,
of people who see Batman are not comic book
then you're still dumb. And you're the mindless sheep that just go to movies and you don't care.
That's a lot of audience.
You can't tell me that you cannot tell me that people are passionate about Ben Affleck, but yet they're dumb and stupid and they don't know enough that it is. You can't have it both ways. Either they're smart enough and intelligent enough to know that this is a Batman and this is a Batman and I got to see which Batman it is and to care, or I'm so passionate about this Batman that I'm pissed off that I got this this Batman instead. You can't have it both ways.
It's not me having anything. It's reality. I had 22 people.
Then you had 22 dumb people.
Are not passionate about Batman, but like Batman because they're not passionate. They're not you and me. They're not you and me. They don't have to be passionate about Batman to know the Batman IP. They know the basic Batman IP. The majority of the people. Hold on. The majority of the people that we filled, 150 people in our theater. The majority of the people.
So you put 150 people and you had 20. What you had 22 people. 22, you said 22 people. 22 people were dumb out of the 150.
Their money still spends.
22. No. Here's the thing. If 22 people, I will take the other 130 with me who either don't care or are just like, hey, I'm willing to see something else. I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways.
Dumb because they're not hyper sensitive.
That's not why I'm calling them dumb. That is not why I'm calling them dumb. I am calling them dumb. No, you are calling them dumb because you are calling them dumb. I am putting a word to what you are saying about these people.
To be oblivious just because they
I am putting a word to what you are saying about these people because you are saying that either A, these people are not passionate enough to even care as comic book fans.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yes, you are. You just said the general public doesn't know. They don't. You said I got 22 people who walked in and they're like, why is it Robert Pattinson? Why is it Robert Pattinson instead of
dumb? How are they dumb?
Listen to me. Don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. Let me finish my sentence. You just said that either A, you had 22 people who walked in out of your 150. Let me finish. Out of your 150 people that went and saw the Batman, that walked in going, why is this Robert Pattinson instead of Ben Affleck? I don't understand. So that's fine. If they don't understand that, then that's fine, William. That's absolutely fine. That I get it. They're not passionate about these movies, right? They're not passionate, and like us, that they care, that they are up on what's going on outside the movie, that literally their knowledge just stems from what they see in the movie. That's fine, but that's what you said A was, or B, you want to make up this narrative that the 20 people don't care. The 20 people don't care, but yet they care enough that they have to see the Snyderverse finish.
You just blurred all kinds of stuff.
That's BS. Say. You know that's BS. If they don't care enough to know who Batman is in the movie that they're going to see Batman in, then you can't tell me that they're so passionate and freaked out by the fact that they don't get to see Henry Cavill again. I'm passionate and care about whether or not I get to see Henry Cavill again. Those people are not. So they're either they just don't care and they're just moviegoers, or they're stupid. One of the two. He froze. See, that's what he does. He freezes. You froze.
I'm still here.
No, you froze.
Okay. I'm back. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay. Not what I said, but I don't need you to repeat what you think I said because we don't have that kind of time. And you're wrong. So
up, for God's sake.
And screaming doesn't make it right.
But I'm not screaming at you. I'm saying, dude, I'm trying to get you. Explain to me. Explain to me. Can you explain to me, William? Explain to me how it is that they're not passionate enough to know who Batman is, but they're passionate enough to care about whether the Snyderverse.
You're mixing. I'm not even talking about those people. All right, and that's where you stop doing that. I mean, we got replay. If you need to replay what I'm saying, go ahead. I'm here.
Which is it?
Till midnight.
Which is it?
Now, the people in the audience goers, I'm not complaining. Okay. I might as well just freeze.
No, that's the general public. That's the general public, right? That's your general public. You said I got 22 people out of my 150 who just don't know.
That came up to me and asked me. That doesn't mean that was all there was. And they're not necessarily wrong because the way that the things were done in DC, the general audience was left out on an island.
Okay.
So that's That's what I said. I'm not bringing the Snyder. I'm
Okay,
talking.
but I'm asking you.
But
But your argument, my argument for the Snyderverse to continue is there are those of us who are passionate about it, who will go spend our money on it, and we care about it, and it's something that we want. You're trying. You have said many times, William, that one of your arguments for the Snyderverse to be completed is because the general public demands it, that they
That is
need
not
it,
what I said.
that they
That is
need it
not what I
before
said.
you've said it, that they need it before you can reboot it.
No, what I said is for the sanctity and the coherence of your product, regardless of what fan base is out there, you need to complete things because it's
Just to do it?
Okay, it's unprofessional because you have brand new people that are going to come to this IP no matter what. People that are not even involved right now. They're going to come in some other way. They're going to come in through Superman Legacy, anything. They're coming into the DC mansion. What do you want them to see? The rug all cracked up and the house torn up, or you want to see them a complete house so that
How
you
would
keep
they
them in those
even
IPs. You got
know?
streaming services. You're still making money. It's your job to make them know if you're selling the product. How does anybody know what's on my shelf?
I'm saying,
Or
how
if
would
I
they?
have
How
something in
no?
the bag?
But
I put it
you're
on and
saying,
explain it to
but you're
them.
saying that they're going to come in knowing that it's a complete mess.
No.
How are they? How are they
your
going to
job
know?
is that it's not a complete mess when they get there. That's what cohesion is.
But that's what I'm asking: is how are they going to know if they don't even know who Batman
People
is? How
know when something's missing. All right.
Yeah, but
people
they
know. People
no.
don't have to be Enosh and William to know that there's not
Yeah.
been a Superman for damn near 6 years.
Well, I know that, but
They saw these movies.
but here's the thing though. But
Okay, I did not
also
know these
but also
terms
people
exist.
know that they're movies. We look at them as stories, right? We look at them as, hey, they need to complete the story. People just look at this stuff as movies, dude. I got friends who literally when episode 1 came out, when Star Wars episode 1 came out, they thought it was young Luke Skywalker instead of Anakin.
Okay. We are in the streaming area where there's more available to them ever.
Yeah.
All right, this is all available to them.
I get that, but not everybody cares and everybody's
And
watching.
if you are selling
what
something,
I'm saying is,
sure it's all nice and tidy.
I'm just asking you if they are concerned enough about who Batman is.
It's not even a concern. That's That's not even to that level. That's not even to that level.
If they're asking you who Batman is because they don't understand.
And those aren't Snyder fans. Though.
Okay, I'm not saying they are. That's what I'm saying though. Then you can't tell them that they have to complete a film franchise because people need to have that closure before you reboot it. I need that closure. I need that closure. You need that closure. We need that. Oh, Larry. So I know we got a couple more super chats from Larry, but Larry, no, dude, we're not mad at each other. I'm not mad at William, and I'm not mad at Thade even. I was messing with Thade because the last couple times I've been on with Thade. And then Thade didn't even get his comment in now. No, I'm not
We just
mad at
fundamentally
anybody.
disagree. We're not going to come together.
My comment on this, Enosh, is why I wanted to say what I had to say to that last comment is because I knew you were going to go off for 30 minutes and I was going to miss what I was wanting to say. That's why I said, hey, can I say something first? Because I could have been done in a couple of minutes.
Okay. Yeah. No.
As a salesperson, here's we're not going to agree on this, but that's fine. I fundamentally agree in the sanctity of your entire product because there's revenue to be made at all angles of your product, and that is Warner Brothers. Big in every iteration of Warner Brothers, they have left that kind of continuity frontwards and backwards. When you have a product and within an intergenerational aspect of it, as you're going to have with this, all right, no matter where they come into that product, they need to see it whole. They need to see it whole because guess what? When they get done with the stuff you introduced them to, they're going to get on that other stuff too. I want their money. I want their streaming money. I want add-on revenue money. I want any money that you can attach physical media. These movies are still being shown all over the place on several different networks.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But also, wouldn't you agree though when like everybody has moved on? And you literally haven't had that Superman there. You really haven't had that Batman there. Yes, Ben Affleck's coming back for The Flash now, right? Which is a multiverse movie. But you have all that. The director moved on and is now doing, like a multitude of different projects for.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Studio.
You're right.
I'm just saying for another studio and all that stuff. That it's like it's easy for us to sit there and go, well, you should just finish it. But also there's the business end of it that Just like James Gunn came out and said, look, I talked to, everybody involved. I talked to Netflix. Netflix didn't show any interest. I talked to Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder did not talk about it like it was a priority. He didn't show any interest in it right now. So, of course they're going to move on. Of course they're going to do a semi-reboot or tell a different story now, because if everybody's kind of moved on and it kind of fizzled out, and let's be honest, that's kind of what it just did. Because Justice League was so bad, it set precedent for everything that came after it. It gave all the people who were going to be negative about DC, it gave them ammunition to kill everything that happened after Justice League. Because there are some movies that, I'll be honest with you, people pan them left and right, and they don't deserve to be panned. They don't deserve to be mocked the way that they're mocked. Movies like Birds of Prey, is it perfect? No. Does it have flaws? Absolutely. But is it
awful? Well, go ahead.
No, it's not. It's not. I have rewatched Birds of Prey several times, and it is not awful.
I'm sorry.
It's not awful. It's like the same people who want to say Suicide Squad was awful. And
Suicide Squad wasn't.
No, but here's the thing, William. You just said a movie is awful that you think is awful, and there are plenty of people who will say that Suicide Squad was awful.
It's all
is
subjective.
not awful.
All subjective, though.
It is subjective, but I would say this. I watched Suicide Squad, and yes, I want to see the Ayer cut because I always think to myself, man, if I love Suicide Squad the way that I do, seeing these characters portrayed the way that they are, man, then how much better could it be to get the Ayer cut to see what his original vision was, right? And what he was doing. More Joker, more of that story playing out, more Harley, more of these characters doing what these characters do. Heck, yeah, less of the nonsense and crazy dancing at the end and all that nonsense. Thank you. I will take that all day. But again, it gave attack fodder for people who, especially MCU fans, and let's just be honest with you. I'm just being honest. There are people who make it a DC MCU thing. Excuse me, and they've just, well, DC sucks. It doesn't matter what DC does. DC could put out the greatest movie of all time, and these people would still say that DC sucks, right? Because they can't admit that DC is good. And it's all little kids or young adults who like they just grew up with the MCU and they have no idea what came before it. They have no idea the history. They don't respect it. They don't care about it. They don't even give a crap about the fact that Kevin Feige says that before they start writing a movie or doing a movie, they watch Superman the movie. Like, for what I mean? Like they don't care. And unfortunately now we got all these DC fans that don't care about DC history. They don't care about where it came from. They don't care about where it's going. And that's the problem.
And see, my point to that is, I can't get the perfect audience member, but that's a good 75% of them, and that's what I meant by when I walk into Shazam, and they're at the movie, they're at the Shazam movie with me. I brought them to the movie with me. I'm wearing a Shazam shirt, and I get people walking up to me and saying "Great Flash shirt," while the giant screen of Shazam is on the screen, and it's a lot of them.
Well,
a lot of them don't know.
Well, again, then they're dumb. well, tell me they're not dumb.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. Maybe
tell me somebody's not. You just told me somebody's looking at a screen with that on it.
Let's use a kinder
and you're going to tell me they're not dumb?
We would say oblivious and be nice because we would still want their money. We still want their money, right? We still want them to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, we'll take their stupid money. Yeah, we'll take their stupid
once
money.
again, it spins.
We'll take their stupid money all day long, but still yet, why don't you educate them then?
I stood there after the Batman, After those 22 people that I'm not calling stupid 22 people if you're watching one, Enoch, E-N-O-N. Okay.
Those 22 people are dumb. If they went to see the Batman with all of the publicity for it and all of the controversy over having a new Batman and having all that stuff, and they went to go see the Batman and they were worried about why Ben Affleck wasn't in the movie because they didn't understand. Now, if they were asking a legitimate question just afterwards, going, "Hey, what happened with Ben Affleck? Is he not Batman anymore?" That's fine. But if they're like, "I thought Ben Affleck was going to be in this," then you know what? Then they're oblivious.
Okay, that's okay. But you know what they're allowed to be? They're allowed to be oblivious.
Okay, but then again, I don't want those 22 people coming back and telling me, "Well, but I'm passionate about making sure that Snyder's vision is finished."
Different alien. The passionate Snyder people, you know they're not going to trip up on that. They're going to know that. But I'm talking, see, whenever I speak, I try to go with the odds and the percentages. The majority of the people are not us. The majority of people are never going to be underneath all this stuff. And good for them because they'll probably be less stressed out about it in most cases. But the majority of the audience doesn't click on this level yet.
They're just simpletons.
You're clay to mold, though. But I still want their money. I can take somebody who you call the D word. I call oblivious. Remember, if you guys are watching, oblivious. I can still train them and get them to buy my stuff.
Look at William trying to sugarcoat it.
No, because
they're just oblivious. They're
oblivious because guess what? I can take an oblivious person, and then you're right. I can educate them. A Snyder person like myself and you, we're already got our degrees.
I don't know, Brodan. I don't know if you want to be in the simpleton camp. William wants to take your money.
Listen. Simpleton money. This is Snyder money. This is educated money, right? Look at this is it spins the same, guys. Take that customer and you give them those breadcrumbs, educate them. So that you're right. The next time they come by, they know. But a lot of people just aren't on that level. But we just can't dismiss them. I can't start catering to that project because it's a good majority. All right. There are a lot of people that in there that know Batman. Batman is one of the most powerful IPs out there. All right, period. And there's like a lot of people who do not pay attention to the details of Batman. You throw
moron money, intelligent people money, all spins the same.
Yeah. You throw a bat on the screen, people are going to go see that. They'll ask the questions later, but they're going to,
I agree.
I
agree, but I don't think then that the general. But if we're looking at it that way, and we go, okay, this is the general public. The general public doesn't pay that much attention to all these details like we do. Then the general public also doesn't require for the Snyderverse to come to a fitting ending.
They don't require. You're right. You're 100% right about that.
And they don't need it. They don't need it. It is not going to affect whether or not they watch the next thing.
As a person who owns these IPs, it affects me because here's what I want. What you're saying, it was 100%, but I'm going to reverse engineer this, right? Because, they currently don't desire anything. That's my job as a salesman. I want your money. I want the money you don't even know you're going to spend. I want it all. Right, and I want to have a full plate. I want to have the mansion in order. So when I take your money over here, I keep taking your money all the way through here, and there's no breaks. Well, I give you as much of that.
Speaking of taking money, we need to make sure to get to Larry's.
We need to get into these super chats.
Yeah, because Larry is. Hey, I gotta go.
All right,
but I love you. I think that that you're wrong.
I know that you are. Like, okay, that's all right. It's all good.
Hey, that's all right.
I don't even think
take it easy, boss man.
I'm gonna start calling you number 23.
Whatever, dude. When you come down to Vegas,
wait. When you come in, instead of calling you number one, like on Star Trek, it would be like 23. Make it so.
We're gonna have a retail. I don't think either one of us are wrong, but I'm thinking from their point, they're the ones taking money. When you're talking retail, it's a different.
Look, I know that they're gonna make money. I know they're gonna make. That's not my point. My point is that I don't think that I don't think that we can argue that the general public needs an end to the Snyderverse.
The retailer does, so he can make money off of it.
No. See, no, because here's my concern. This is what I've been saying, William. Yes, there is some money to be made. But again, I don't think the return on investment at this point, after watching Snyder fans not come to the table and not spend money on stuff and not, the diehard. Look, hold on. There's the diehards like me who've got, I think now 4 copies of Zack Snyder's Justice League in some way, 4 or 5 copies of it, right? I got it on HBO Max because, it's on HBO Max. I buy the toys, I buy the things. I'm invested, right? But so the thing is yeah, for me, I show up, but I've watched over the last few years where a lot of these people who claim to be Snyder fans, a lot of these people who claim that this is like their thing, that they do not put their hard-earned money into it. They just don't.
What do you think about my Blu-ray, my box Blu-ray set? Since it's animated, it's cheap. And now, before you answer that, I don't care about the certain fandom that's going to get mad because I'm selling this to the majority of us that are you and me that are going to buy it.
Dude, if you know what, I'm sitting here thinking that the only feasible way maybe to even pay for it at this point is animation.
I think it would be the coolest way too, because
it would be cool. Well, I don't know if it'd be the coolest way, because the coolest way would always be to see it in live action.
True, but we're also talking to a generation that is speaking more in modern animation too.
No, I get it. But the coolest way to watch, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3 is always going to be live action. So that's always going to be there. But at this point, like we've disagreed upon how much money it's going to take. I just see that, like, by the time they start dropping money on production, on the actors, on Zach
or live
himself,
action,
for live action, for
live
Zach
action
himself,
for
Zach himself, for costuming, for wardrobe, for the vehicles, for all that stuff. Even if you do it on stagecraft stuff and whatnot, it's still two very highly CGI heavy,
improbable but not impossible
things. Okay, no, I'm not saying it's improbable that it'd be done, but I'm saying if they do it, then they need to get ready to not recoup their money.
What about the animation thing?
The animation thing. The animation thing is, I think, the only probably feasible way that they could actually hope to recoup their money. Because with the animation thing, you're not animation. Yes, it costs money, but it's not. But it's not going to rack up the same as trying to do it live action. If you get the cast back to do it, your casting charge for doing animation is not going to be the same necessarily for appearing on camera, right? Nor will the obligation be for the person to do it, because most of these people, none of them have to be in the same place at one time. They can literally go into a high-end studio wherever they're at that's approved by the studio and just record their parts. And so that's super easy, man. And you got the people who do the sound effects, and you're and they animate it, and you're done. So that right there, I mean, it's still going to be expensive, but it's not going to be as expensive. And I feel like that's the only way that, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Amazon, whoever, that's the only way that you're going to be able to recoup your money, because you're not, because the DC fandom is fractured, you're not going to get all the DC fans to come out and see it.
Well, now
you're not going to get all the DC fans to support, just like they didn't get all the DC fans to support Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Now, here's what, I don't know if you heard the whole idea, but it was the whole box set and the selling the collectible box set that the general audience, and I know because I've done it, it's cool. They will buy the most inane stuff if it's a package well. They bought Golden Girls with there was a Golden Girls one. I think it just had Betty White on it. I was standing behind somebody in Walmart that didn't even know what Golden Girls was, but who's this cute little old lady. I mean, the Cylon thing that had no business selling anywhere because that series was 80s horrible, but I saw somebody pick one up and buy it. And these are not even guys, but you put that S on it. Like, did you hear the whole thing?
Well, I'll tell you this, Silent Scotty would disagree with you heavily, and I actually bought that box set for him. So
okay, but a lot of people bought it based on it looked cool, and people like buying collectible stuff. Did you hear my idea? I don't want to.
I think most people bought that. I think most people though bought. Most people went and bought Golden Girls because Golden Girls has had a resurgence, and there's grown men who like Golden Girls. I love Golden Girls. Betty White is my freaking favorite thing in the world, man. Look, I got the freaking book,
I know the book.
I got the toys. I got all that
toys.
stuff.
That's another stream. But people will buy.
You don't have the you know about the Golden Girl toys. I got the Betty White pop. I got the action figure. They had action figures for all of the Golden Girls. They had Funkos for all the Golden Girls. There's all kinds of Golden Girl stuff now where there's T-shirts and there's.
Well, I have a Betty White one here after she passed.
Yeah, I mean there's all that stuff right now for the Golden Girls, and it's great. but the
The
thing is,
hilarity of it.
it's because there's been a resurgence because people like Betty White, and Betty White is such a pop culture icon that's why people did it. And as far as the Cylon, or as far as the Cylon
This
thing,
is just an thing I
for,
bought up
for,
because
for
I saw
Battlestar
somebody buy it.
Galactica, dude, there's a huge following for Battlestar Galactica for that original series. So,
Yeah, but when they made that, based on they knew people were going to buy it. It was cool. But here's the thing: all this is going to be mute. I think after last Sunday, after Super Bowl Sunday, everything we just talked about, in my opinion, is going to end up being a moot point because I think that he's doing something, like you said at the beginning, before you came after me, that he is thinking about something that's far beyond this. That, in my opinion, will include enough familiar stuff to where I'm going to be okay with.
Well, I think that a lot of the I think a lot of the fans who have griped and complained now so much, they're gonna look like fools in the end.
Yeah,
they're just gonna look like fools.
Especially the extreme end of it, because I like I said before when I was on the air with you guys a couple of nights ago, I don't get the extreme end of these things and engagement.
Yeah.
But everybody does what they want. But I look at their desires, and like I said, those guys are not the guys that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about this, because those guys want everything. They want 25 movies. They want the Air Cut, Part 2, 3, 10, 20. And that was never practical, even pre-gun, even pre-mismanagement. But when you look at the fact that, I'm just going to sit back and wait and see what these next two movies do. And I'm going to saying two because I don't think Blue Beetle is going to make that much of a difference in going forward, as much as this Flash movie and Jason Momoa, Aquaman does. I think that is going to change the game, and is the fact that this is money up front. This is what we're making money off of now. And like I said, Superman Legacy is a huge risk. Any Superman, in my opinion, is a huge risk because of the fact that everybody has their death grip on their version of Superman. So even James Gunn could come out and write Scorsese. It's still gonna run into the same things. That
It's still gonna be picked apart. Before I leave, real quick, Anthony Tiff is feeling better, but she's still got a long ways ahead of her. But she's doing better. She's just been laid up. She's taking it easy. Not doing too much, and yeah, and she's doing fine. So thank you for that. And also I wanted to answer Larry here, and then you can go ahead and do your super chats. I put him in the starred area, Stella.
Okay, I still got my finger on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Take those pics of the T-shirt, and you can either email them to poindexterlounge@gmail.com, or you can send them via Twitter. It's fine. It's fine. Either way you want to. And yeah. That's it for me. But yeah, treat each other good. Unless you're yelling at William.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
You're like the district manager that comes in and like derails the party for the day.
Yeah, my peaceful show. I was having a peaceful show, Mr. Rogers neighborhood level stuff, and here comes Mr. Skinner just busted in from a different cartoon to punch me in the balls over something I really I've already come to terms with everything that's been said, especially after Super Bowl Sunday. I'm in a different headspace after that because I think.
Hey Enosh, have you seen the picture that Alex Ross put out recently?
Of the
artist Alex Ross, the one that has Christopher Reeve in the Kingdom Come Superman suit.
Mm-hmm.
That is a neat picture. I like that picture.
Yeah, William, you can kiss them all.
Yeah, whatever.
just saying, you can kiss them all.
The opinions of this particular section of the Poindexter Lounge are Enosh's and Enosh's alone. Any of you 22 people that happen to be watching right now, William still loves you, even if Enosh hates you.
I don't hate them. I just think they're simpletons if they're asking. I think William is misrepresenting you.
I'm dead. Let me get the super check. We've totally screwed Larry here.
Yeah, they're in the starred.
Okay. All right.
We forgot about this one.
Oh, what is it? Oh, yeah.
You're saying those are Stella Baxter. Just blame Stella. They do not necessarily reflect those of Poindexter Lounge or its guests, but we love her. And I mean,
or the owner of the network because he's off the rails. But
yeah, well, Oh yeah, I'm off the rails, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch the stream.
You know what? Save 10% on all your orders at bullysticksdirect.com by using code Poindexter.
Oh dear God! Now we're sitting here putting up. That's
I
it.
wish I could suffocate you sometimes.
Here's for William. Thanks for watching. Please stick around. I need to reboot my internet. We'll be right back.
Oh, that's Cox Cable. And trust me, I'm going after them on the entire. I'm going to do a whole dedicated stream on Cox Cable. All this money and to be freezing. That ain't cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so can I get to his super chat before you never give us one again?
Go ahead. Do what you got to do. I'm going to leave.
All right.
Love you guys.
Larry.
All right. Peace,
Good
everyone.
night, Enosh.
All right,
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I'll be the first person to say Superman Legacy is amazing. If it is, I just need a great story to justify only Cavill, Batfleck, and Cyborg being erased. This is also hearsay, except for Cavill not being in DCU. And like I said, I just think we're in a space right now personally. And I know we just went back and forth and down the rabbit hole about other versions of the fandom and what they think, but we've already discussed the fact that we previously lounges that I think that the fact that he's not doing a complete reboot is a good thing. I think he's leaving the door open. I don't know when. It could be.
Well, I also want to make this same point. It was the point I was trying to make before Enosh, slipped into obscurity. But he's still watching us.
We were sailing. Who came up in here? We were like the minnow. A 3-hour tour. Here comes Enoch. Here comes Gilligan.
I'm always watching.
Hurricane Enoch.
I need to be watching.
But no, see, what I want to add to this is that you're dealing with people who are, the people that are on the internet, like somebody said earlier, that are making it sound like this is over entirely, are like Chicken Little screaming that the sky is falling, okay? We don't know till we know. There ain't a damn thing any of us knows until we know, okay? And that's what we're dealing with here. A lot of unknowing, but also just a lot of people putting their 2 cents in that doesn't make any damn sense anyway.
It's the money. And that includes, you know what? I include myself in there because I'm not inside that boardroom. I'm not the one, like I said, I'm not in there in the idea stage, and I'm not the accountant. I'm not the person handling any of this stuff. And when we talk our fanboy logic, and I'm a fanboy, and that's all good for us to talk that conversation. But at the end of the day, the end all be all of all of this is people, ironically, who are not even fans. It's going to be some old shareholder in checkered shorts golfing out there saying, you know what, my dividends aren't where they need to be. How long is it going to take them to get us on this road again? 2.5 years? And like I said, this is if the Flash makes $1 billion. The greedy guy that doesn't read the comics, that doesn't know any about this stuff, is going to be like, maybe we need to put some pressure on them, which is going to be unfortunate because it's going to be the same thing that happened to Zack Snyder. And that's the X factor is the money. You got to follow the money sometimes because sometimes it leads to some assholes. All right. Sometimes the money doesn't lead to a great place. But when cash is undefeated, $1 billion, if you pull in $1 billion with Flash, you pull in anywhere near anything like that with those two. If I'm sitting in the shareholder and like I said, I got maybe money with this thing that he put you in charge of, but I've learned now that I can still generate money with this current thing. Fanboy conversations can go out of the way, but the money could. One thing that has not changed since 2013. All right, shareholders are greedy. All right, people, and you know what? They're the investors.
One thing that we have to remember as fans, and this is something that I always try to temper my expectations with, is that no matter what, the money runs the system.
Exactly.
Okay? My opinion doesn't matter. William's opinion doesn't matter. None of our opinions really matter when it comes down to the bottom line. Okay? The filthy green stuff is what makes the rules. Okay?
A lot more than $20, by the way.
And it doesn't matter what the fans want. And this is why I don't always call myself a fan of things. I call myself an appreciator of things. Because as a fan denotes fanatic. Okay? And fanatics are always going to say, well, this is how something should be. Well, the thing is you're not providing anything but your $20 to the movie theater. You're talking about men and women that are providing thousands, millions to these movies. And in the scope of your little $20 movie ticket and their millions that they're providing to produce these movies, their millions are going to win out over your upfront money. Their millions are going to outweigh your $20. Sorry, that's just brass fact. Okay? And I just want you to know that, look, if the fans ran everything, then that would be different. But we don't.
That would be scary.
and honestly, we're the 1%.
Yeah.
Even if every fan of DC pulled their money out, the general populace still burns way more than we do. And that's what's running the ship.
And when I was talking about in the 22, not rough number, what I was representing is some of those guys. This is know there's a new Batman movie. And be honest with you, as a retailer, that's all I need them to know. It's my job as a retailer, or it's the studio's job, because the studio is still a retailer, to educate them. And just because they may be oblivious, that money, oblivious money, spends just as well as educated money, guys. I need it all. If we're going to run this business, I need it all. And when I say, and I've gone past all this as far as like the Restore the Snyderverse stuff, because he is 100% right about as far as it could balloon to something that's not practical. However, though, they need to find some way to do it, in my opinion, simply because if you come into my universe in 2025 and to see Superman Legacy, and I got you sitting around for another maybe year or another before you get anything else, do I want you doing that, or do I want you to be engaged in all this? And I'm selling these things to. So when I take that off of when I put that on TNT, when I put Zack Snyder's Justice League, why would you do that? But okay, you put that on there, or you put Wonder Woman, or you put Man of Steel, you put that on TV. People are still engaging that. Some of them for the very first time. No matter where they engage that product, there's a very good chance that they might want more of that product. So no matter what angle your customers come in, they're there. No matter what door they came into the store, you need to get them to the register. So when I'm saying complete for cohesion, I want to sell DVDs. I want to sell Man of Steel Blu-rays and extra stuff to that new guy. I want to sell BVS box sets to that new guy. I want that guy watching all these things on TV. So when we get the leverage for the ad buys, we just get projects. No matter how smart they are, or where they are at, or where they came in, they want their cash. What's up,
William? Let me get through these super chats really quick, and then we'll continue on.
You paid $2 for that, bro, Dan? Mother.
Okay, so Larry's next super chat says, "Remember, guys, it's not our fault that we're left to speculate and argue." WB is still giving vague, contradictory news. Actually, they're being less contradictory than you think. Now they are. A lot of what we think is contradictory is just us getting our feelings hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
It's there is, and Enosh was right earlier. There's a divide in the fandom, and one side sniping at the other. We're all going to be hard-hearted right now, and I'm less so than everybody else because I'm just taking DC for what it is anymore. To tell you the truth.
And what my point to him was, it's always going to be that. There is always going to be a divide in the fandom.
Larry says, "Love you guys so much. Hopefully everything will make sense and be awesome in the end."
Gives you the money.
And then we have Justice League was pretty much what killed the DCU. You're not wrong. Okay, so now we're coming back to the regular thing here. All right, we can go back to.
Yeah. So where were we before he hijacked us? God damn it! What were we talking about? I forgot what we were talking about. Where you popped up.
I don't.
Something.
We were simply saying that you were talking about your idea for the
my box. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think you can make a lot of money there, and I think that even though some hardcore Cylon people bought that, there's a lot of people, enough significant people that had the awareness of it, but had no intentions on buying Blu-rays until they saw that. I know general people that know of Battlestar Galactica, that know of certain things, but it's that push. It's getting them over that cliff to buy it. They walk by, stuff that looks like this.
Okay, so this is an old question. This has been over an hour old.
But walk by the stuff that. Oh, sorry. Well, blame me not. Question: I am planning to buy omnibuses for Black Panther and Spider-Man on the recent runs of those comic books. Which omnibus do you? Ooh. Oh shit! I should have that in front of me. Anything? I don't have the exact volumes right now, but it'll tell you when you buy them. Anything that gets you into the mid to from 1982 to 1988, and then from 1988 to maybe 90. So that to me, that era, that 12-year, 14-year period for Spider-Man is the most important because you have a lot of kick-ass storylines. You have the first appearance of the Hobgoblin is in there, Amazing Spider-Man 238. You had a lot, and it's a really long and great storyline that covers all three titles. And then you also had the second split up that way is 1988 is when Tom McFarlane's run starts on there, and that's an epic run that leads to the first appearance of Venom and a whole bunch of other things. And then there's the Spider Clone saga that at the time was just kind of batshit crazy, but in retrospect, 25 years later, the Ben Reilly, and now that you've seen Ben Reilly in the mainstream universe and Resurrected and all that, the Spider Clone saga up until the point where it got maximum clonage and all that. But that particular time period. So let's go from 1982 to 1984. Any omnibuses or trade paperbacks, for that matter, that give you those pieces of the storyline, I would go with that out of personal preference. Now the other one is Black Panther. Black Panther, go get the original ones. Get the ones that cover from issue 1 all the way up to as far as you can, because the first Black Panthers were inspirational simply because what Stan Lee was trying to do at that time. Black Panther was created in 1966. He actually predates the Black Panther movement. So he had that name before. But if you juxtapose what Black Panther first appearances were going through, what the civil rights era was going through, it was the antithesis of what America was at that time, because this is a black prince, a black king, from a highly educated society, a rich society, a resource-rich society. At the time in America, that wasn't what the image of us was, and that wasn't what we were going through. So the first episodes or first issues of Black Panther represent Stan Lee's visions of what we could be. And 66 is when he started feeling a lot safer as far as putting black leads in comic books and everything else, because the editorial system, in my opinion, would not allow for him to do so prior to that. So if any omnibus that I wish I could pull it up for you, but any omnibus that covers for Spider-Man, especially Amazing Spider-Man from 1982 to 1982.
Actually, give me a second. I can on Marvel. I've got the Marvel app. Give me a minute.
Okay. So whatever those cover, and then with first issues of Black Panther, in my opinion, are very critical, and it's a great place to start. And Thade is going to bring up some stuff for you that oops, I'm sorry. Go back to that. Question, William. What do you think that the Marvels being moved to November, reshoots and no confidence, financial reasons, or all of the above? I don't know. And okay, and I could save for money and all that, but I remember certain movies got moved that might affect other movies being moved. Like, even though Blade, it might not get to something else, the way they tell their stories, I don't know if there's something along the story that got moved or anything like that might change something, or something not being done on time. So I would have to know the inner mechanics of the decision before I was able to give you an answer to that. I don't think it's a competent issue. They don't seem to think that way, and that's one of the things I've always loved about even if I didn't like the product overall, I like the fact that they tell their story and they don't blink. They go on to the next story. Eternals didn't do all that great. They stick with it, and they continue to add things. Dark World wasn't that great. Didn't cause Thor Ragnarok from being made, or Thor Love and Thunder. So I don't think a lack of confidence is ever the problem when it comes to Marvel Studios, but there may be some internal workings there that these things are so together with. If one thing gets uprooted, it can kind of uproot everything else. So it's kind of like a wave. Next one. Question: do you guys think that Kevin Feige is one of the smartest producers in Hollywood? He purposely let stuff leak to see what some of these YouTube channels would say. To a point, but I also think he's been doing it since back in the Fox days, Marvel days, that he has a good a good pulse of what his audience wants, because he's watched that audience evolve. So Kevin Feige has been around the Marvel audience before some of them were even born. So he knows that. As far as things leaking, once again, I don't think once he gets to that decision stage, I don't think Kevin Feige blinks at that point. Once he gets to the point where it's, he understands the fans, but he also understands something that we all admit here: we're not screenwriters, we're not script writers, we're not producers, directors, or actors. So I don't think that's the case simply because he seems to have a working model that just has been working for them. I don't think he has any doubt in that. Next one. Question: can you explain to me the hatred for comic book movie genre by these directors like Scorsese and Coppola? When if it wasn't for comic book movies, the theaters wouldn't be around today. I don't. These guys, the problem that and some of it I can see is a lot of comic book movies in general are draw their success from lineage. Once again, I'm going to give an example. People love Guardians of the Galaxy, but without the MCU, without that engine behind it, does Guardians of the Galaxy even get greenlit? If you walk into an office talking about a talking tree and a talking raccoon, they may have you escorted out. But when you come into the context of 25 movies leading up to it, it's a different situation. Whereas a lot of the movies that these guys have done are singular movies that rely on them being close. So their adversity to them is they don't see that as real filmmaking because it's not the same type of storytelling. I would disagree, but that's right. Go ahead.
On the Black Panther, there's a Marvel Masterworks. Mighty Marvel Masterworks there. Look for the Mighty Marvel Masterworks editions of Black Panther. That goes back to the original Black Panthers from the 60s. There's also the Marvel Epic Collection omnibuses, which there's 3 of them for Black Panther that you might want to look for. But that's what you're looking at for Black Panther early stuff. As for Spider-Man, there's a lot of different omnibuses for Spider-Man that you can get your hands on. Basically, just walk into any comic book store and ask, "Hey, I want to get into Spider-Man, but I want to do it with an omnibus. Is there, and they can really suggest to you something that you can look for, or that they might be able to get you."
Yeah, like right now, I just got a guy. I'm getting a guy Fantastic Four omnibus. I've been horrible on my omnibus guys because they are expensive to get, and a lot of before they weren't for me moving as much. They are now. I'm getting more and more people that are more into them now, so I'm stocking up, and that's one of the things that I really need to get back on. Priority wise for me has been trade paperbacks because omnibuses are a bit on the expensive side. So a 14-year-old, a 20-year-old may not be able to afford those. A good collector will, But I.
Well, this one right here, the Claws of the Panther, this one right here is retails on Amazon for $15.99. So
okay, so that's a collected edition or trade. An omnibus is different. They're a little bit they're range in the $88 or $89 ones, like the is an omnibus.
The Epic Collection ones are the ones that I was talking about. They're $75-$80 each.
Okay, yeah.
But this one right here is this one's a relatively cheap way of going with the first Black Panther stories.
Yeah, if you have the money
for $16 right here.
Yeah, if you have the money, go for it. If you have the money, but and because they are nice when they get in. So, all right, next question.
Also, hold on. Also, another way that you could do it is if you Marvel has an app called Marvel Unlimited, and it's like $60-$70 a year, or it's like $7 or $8 a month. You can go on there and read like thousands of comic book issues, all the way back to old stuff. So that's another option you can take, and it's a relatively cheap option instead of just going out and buying all these like $80 omnibuses.
Okay, did you hear about Frank Grillo possibly joining DCU? If so, what DC character would he play? I heard that he's joining a specific project. He's playing a character, if this is true, and that's a rumor. He'd be playing somebody in Creature Commandos, and I think that he'd be playing that bearded dude. I don't know too much about that, but I heard he was attached to a specific project. So I don't have a lot of big opinions about DC Commandos. It's one of those wait and see things. It's one of those things that doesn't have as much notoriety, and I know why he picks these projects. It's because he has the freedom to do what he wants. He's not going to really piss off anybody because not a lot of people
Yeah, the Frank Grillo thing. Yeah, he's
know
connected to
about
Creature
these
Commandos.
characters. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's Creature
Question is,
Commandos
they
that he's
bring back
attached to.
Henry Cavill. Okay. Question: they bring back Henry Cavill, but he's not playing Superman. I don't think that would happen. But because they're going with a younger Superman, Enoch chased him. What villain superhero do you want him to play? James Gunn's DCU. Okay, so here's my belief on it because Enoch is gone. I believe that when he comes back, he will be playing a Superman. What version? What universe? What time period? I don't know.
Okay,
I don't
now
think Superman, and you can go back to playing anybody else.
James Gunn did come across and debunk one thing about what people are saying about how he's going to do Superman. He said his Superman's going to be close to his 30s, so it's not going to be too young of a Superman. And he said his Batman is actually going to be in his 40s. So there's going to be a 10-year age difference between Batman and Superman.
And he also made a comment about it's like Star Wars and Game of Thrones, where there's different points in time where these stories are being told. I think a lot of people miss that. I'm looking at that too. That gives me some thought too. But I'm gonna wait till I get another tweet on that one before I.
Yeah, he did.
Make sure everybody's hitting the like button, by the way, for both my channel and the grumpy usurper who invaded the show and rose everybody's blood pressure. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Enoch point extra loud too as well. These likes help, with our rhythms and stuff like that. And if you want more content like that, it helps. It helps me in my little corner of the woods, and it helps Enoch. So that's my answer on that one, Anthony. Well, go ahead and answer that if you want to, Dave.
Yeah, he's. There's been a tradition over the years of people that have played Superman coming back and playing like Jor-El or another member of Superman's family. I think it might be cool if Henry came back and played Jor-El for a spot in one of the movies or whatever. I don't know.
I gotta believe it'd be Kingdom Come, but that's just me. That's just.
But I also like my feeling is they're leaning into Kingdom Come, and I think that's where we're going to see Henry come back, because James Gunn did say he has spoken to Henry about a role down the road.
Yeah.
And that
if you're watching this along with Cox Cable and everybody else that's probably pissed off tonight, you give me Kingdom Come, this geek is going to be okay. This geek will follow you. It's just about anywhere. You give me Kingdom Come, one of the greatest comic book miniseries or storylines, in my opinion, since I've been open or since I've been alive. You give me Kingdom Come, and you give me these guys and that kind of storyline. You give me Gal Gadot. You give me these guys in the Kingdom Come storyline to where they get sent off, even if it's not finishing the arc, which I think for financial reasons you should do. But if you decide not to and you give me Kingdom Come, hey, I'm going to take that as a huge win. The fanboy in me will do a backflip, and so that's how happy I would be about that.
This has got to be the coolest picture I have seen in the last couple of days. I'm going to go ahead and share it here real quick.
Me on the screen? I do look good. Thank you, Faye. Question. I just got Greg Morrison. You mean Greg Morrison or Grant Morrison? Omnibus Volume 1. What Batman Omnibus would you recommend?
Can you share that picture real quick, William?
Yes, I can.
This is the coolest picture that Alex Ross has done lately. That is his version of Christopher Reeve in the Kingdom Come uniform.
Wow. That's just weird because he never got to be that old.
And that's officially from Alex Ross's Twitter. Like, I think that's a cool picture.
Who drew that. I want to see one in Cavill. I know there's plenty of them out there with Cavils, but yeah. All right. So next question. We're running up on 3 hours here. I just got. Which one I recommend? I'm not real good with knowing with the omnibus. I'll tell you the time period. In my opinion, for Batman, any of the Neil Adams era, you touch on the Neil Adams era. It's a good era. It was a lot of redemption going on in Batman at that time. Also, any omnibus that covers 1986 and up. So there you go with that one. I'm going to get better on these omnibuses, guys, because like I said, I just don't have a lot on traffic. I didn't have a lot of traffic. I had a lot of traffic. I'm going to start physically getting them in. But like I said, they are a little bit pricey. I do better with trade paperbacks than anything else. All right, next one. We are caught up. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think we hit all the nerves. We got the show back on track after Enosh hijacked it, and after Cox tried to sabotage me. So there you go. We have done it. I have done it. We have shepherded you from what was February.
Okay, let me answer this last one really quick, William, before you go. Scipio, the reason why the Marvels was moved is because Marvel is retooling the amount of content they put out every year, and this is actually a good move. It is not a no confidence or financial reasons. It's just them retooling the way. It's just them retooling Chapek's nonsense.
All right, guys. Thank you for your super chats. Shut up, Rodan. Thank you for everybody who added comments, interaction, even Enosh. Once again, I mean, anybody, and this is going to happen. It happens all the time when me and Enosh get on the screen and we go at it over this. People are going to come in at that point and think we're hating each other. No, this is par for the course. He comes in, now Enosh erupts, and then this is the Rocky Four. So don't we're fine. So yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for being thank you for being. I'm ignoring Brodad.
It's good. You probably should.
Overlap. I don't know what he's saying. We've made it to the other side. Okay, yeah, I'll let you guys handle that. So now we're done. So thank you for being here. And any last words, Dave?
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right, remember to like and comment on both my end of it at the Sci-Fi, YouTube at the Sci-Fi Center /@sci-fi-center.com, and also on this stream if there's anything that we didn't get to or you felt needed a little bit more answering to. And that's about it, guys. Yes, everybody have a good, safe, early Sunday morning.
Hold on, William. Hold on. Vince, message me on Instagram if you need to talk to me. Vince said something about he needs to talk to me. So, yeah. Message me on Instagram, Vince.
You fired?
I'll deal with Rodan later.
Okay. See you guys later.
Later. Good night, everybody.